I know.
I just feel like Ryan Day, to me, at this point, needs to prove that he is willing to maybe play a little different style of football. I think some coaches get stubborn, and
Yeah, I know.
this kind of reminds me of Andy Reid when he first started in the NFL. Andy Reid had to change some. Okay, Andy Reid still passed first, but Andy Reid runs the football more now. Knows he has to. There needs to be some sort of balance. I mean, Stoney, that was a big knock during the McNabb
yes.
era.
And they had Brian Westbrook.
I want to ask. I will call you the expert on this.
Okay.
Because you played the position, the line. That's my only concern. Can the line be as good as last year or close?
Yeah, and in fact, I think it could be better. Some of it depends on the chemistry because Nugent, if he is the center, you've had Vastardis 2 years ago. Last year it was Olu. Now this year it's going to be Nugent. That, to me, is going to be the most important position up front because it keeps everybody connected. It's the communication with the quarterback. It's setting the protections. It's setting the run scheme. Everything is going to be determined by how well, whether it's Greg Crippen or Nugent, how well they communicate with everybody because you are going to have guys like Ladarius Henderson, who's the transfer from Arizona State, who's a tremendous athlete, still young in developing his talents, but I think he's going to have a huge impact. Miles Hitton, another transfer from Stanford, a freak athlete. Can he continue his development at the tackle position? You got two guys at the guard position, Zach Zinter and Trevor Keegan, who I believe could have All-American type seasons. So the talent is there. And then there's a guy that I talked to yesterday who I absolutely love, and that's Giovanni El-Hadi. He has come in last year.
Sterling Heights Stevenson, right?
Yes. And performed extremely well. He's going to be in contention for more playing time. I don't know that he unseats one of the guys, one of the incumbents, but he's going to have a tremendous season. And that's why I say, before it was, hey, you're one injury away from having an offensive line that's disjointed or can't perform, and Michigan is now deep enough that they can sustain a number of them up front, and a lot of those second-team guys would be starting at other teams across the Big Ten, other teams across the country.
And they have a lot. They do have some ifs, schedule-related. Who knows? The Michigan State game is always, I think, going to be a tough game, especially there. Excuse me, especially coming off the incident last year. They're going to be even more, if they can even be more fired up. And Happy Valley on a Saturday, it's not a night game, I get that. But if their quarterback, Drew Aller, I believe is his last name,
Aller,
right?
yeah.
If he's as good as they think, and they have some really good, they had freshmen last year.
Two freshman running backs
last
and
year.
an edge rusher that's really good.
Correct, and they have some veterans in the secondary. That is going to be a very, very tough game to win.
It will be
up there.
Uh-huh.
They can, that to me is, and of course then there's that damn Ohio State team coming in here. All right, 248-539-9797.
Hey, Ideal U works. And it works fast. It's going to help you lose weight. And if you want to lose 40 pounds, up to 40 pounds in 40 days using real whole foods, you got to contact them. And you can do that at idealu.us. You can book a free consultation right now. And if you sign up, you're going to get $200 in free groceries or a $200 Visa gift card. It's up to you. Summer is here. And if you want to look good in the bathing suit, you got to take action now. Ideal U is different than other weight loss programs. It works and it works fast. I mentioned I lost 10 pounds in the first 10 days. I lost 60 pounds overall. And the best thing about it is I've been able to keep the weight off. Here's why. It's not a program where you're going to have shakes, bars, prepackaged food. You're going to eat real whole food every day. And once you've reached your goal, your weight loss coach, who you've been talking to throughout the entire process, is going to teach you what to eat and drink to continue to keep that weight where you want it to be. Ideal U can help you lose up to 40 pounds in 40 days. Sign up now and get $200 in free groceries or a $200 Visa gift card. I mentioned 10 pounds in the first 10 days for me, 60 pounds overall. Book your free consultation right now at idealu.us.
248-539-9797. Talking a little Michigan football. Is this their best opportunity to win a national championship? I said it was last year because of who they played in the semifinal. But others disagree. Let's go to Pete in Chesterfield. You're a 97 on the ticket.
Hey, good morning. I agree with you, Stoney. I think last year was an epic opportunity with, Ohio State actually should have beat Georgia. Michigan's right on par with that. That slip up to TCU just was hurtful. But again, this year, who is the favorite? I mean, I don't see any reason why they can't step up and be right there again. They're in as good a position as any other team in the country.
You're right about that.
Yeah, and last year was a great opportunity. They didn't take advantage of it, and we don't know what opportunities will present itself this year. That's the great unknown.
Right. I mean, they need to hold serve and take care of Ohio State for a third straight time. I mean, they kind of, while Georgia has that horrible schedule, Michigan and the league schedule is not as daunting, right? So they can get through there without just hold serve, take care of it. It sounds easy, right? Beat Ohio State for a third straight time, which is going to be very difficult. But if they do that, they're in the Final Four, and then who every single team has a question at quarterback that Michigan doesn't have. Michigan's returning a ton of guys. They're huge up front. It's just, are their Jimmy and Joes as good as those Jimmy and Joes at the other schools? It's hard to tell without them playing head-to-head, right? But, I mean, if they hold serve and get there, they could win a national title. I don't see any reason why anyone else can't or anyone else is better.
You're right.
Yeah,
and depending on who they play, you're correct.
In the last couple of years, Michigan has performed well in the regular season and in the Big Ten championship game. They've fallen short, obviously, in the college football playoffs. But since Jim Harbaugh has been in Ann Arbor, I think this is the most talented team, and it's the most talented team with experience returning. It's deep, and whether it's offensive line, linebacker, secondary, in the backfield, you're not going to be ruined by one injury.
See, I need Donovan Edwards to be the lead guy. I need there to be a transfer of power to him and Blake Corum coming back, and I thought they caught a huge break with that. Actually, I think Donovan Edwards is special, and his health is a concern. I think he gets injured quite a bit, but I think he's special. I do.
The offense for Michigan and Sharon Moore, Kirk Campbell, whoever is coming up with the game plan, has an opportunity, much like Ben Johnson does with the Lions. Jahmyr Gibbs and I think Donovan Edwards are very similar type of skill sets because of their ability to line up at receiver, their ability to catch the ball out of the backfield, but also to be a runner that you can just hand the ball to 15, 20 times a game. And I don't know if Jahmyr Gibbs can hold up like that in the NFL. And this is going to be the time for Donovan Edwards to stake that claim, to say, I can stay healthy and be that guy.
I think, Stoney, you made a great point about the kicking situation. You are going to get into a game like the Illinois game last year. One of my concerns is just college football. It is hard to repeat undefeated regular seasons, okay?
Yes.
And you can lose a game. You got to lose the right game sometimes, but they haven't lost a regular season game since October 30th of 2021. So that was in East Lansing.
Correct.
You get yourselves in situations, you get into a close game, and all of a sudden you don't have that kicker that you had. I mean, that Illinois game, people forget about how dicey that was.
Oh, I know.
Remember him kicking
I was there.
to make it a 2-point lead?
It was so freaking cold. I know people say, why is he kicking? That was one of the best coaching decisions.
There was no room for error. They executed,
Yes.
and that's why people forget.
Yes. Some ticket text. Wow, I've never heard John speak so much. They play a schedule of high school teams, get overhyped, then embarrass themselves in the playoff. Write it down. That's from Jim in Livonia.
Okay, there's a lot of teams that would probably love to have that same opportunity.
Yes, indeed. How does John feel about our defense, specifically the defensive line?
So when you look at Michigan's defense, this is where I do get excited, and some of it has to do with the transfer of Ernest Hausman.
From Nebraska,
the
linebacker.
But when you're starting to talk about the guys up front, you got Chris Jenkins, Mason Graham, guys that we know a little bit more about. Mason Graham had a really good first year. Kenneth Grant, we saw him in the spring game, and throughout spring, he is another freakish type of individual that I think is going to have a huge impact. Rayshon Benny, I think, is going to have a big year this year. And then on the edge, Jalen Harrell has been there, been very disciplined, been very productive. Derek Moore is a second-year guy that I think coming off the edge is going to have a huge impact on this defense. And then obviously Braden McGregor is finally healthy from Port Huron. Josiah Stewart, the transfer from Coastal Carolina. So there's a number of guys up front that I am excited about seeing play.
All right, 248-539-9797. Speaking of excitement, the NBA Finals and the Stanley Cup Finals are going on right now. And I haven't seen any of the ratings for the hockey. I can imagine hockey doesn't get great ratings to begin with, and I imagine with the Miami and Miami and Las Vegas markets, they're not going to be great. But the hockey, even though it was a blowout last night, there was some great stuff in that game. Bodies flying all over the play. Mark Stone made of Vegas was incredible, where he lost his stick. Goes to the bench, they give him another one. He hits a guy on the way to the bench, and he makes a great pass, leads to a goal. There was a hit in that game that we'll address in a second with Tkachuk. I'll talk about that in a second. But I want to ask this, 248-539-9797, with the NBA as well, and their ratings for Game 1, which was the Thursday night game, were a little less than they were last year, but they anticipated much more of a drip than they got. Because it was Boston Golden State last year. I haven't seen Sundays yet for Game 2, which was more of a compelling game. But are you, with no Detroit team, are you watching the finals in these sports? And why or why not? 248-539-9797. A lot of, casual sports fans, if it's not their team or superstar guys that they can identify with somehow they like, they're not watching, even though it is the championships, which to me, I think all sports fans, when there's a championship, whether it's any of the four majors, obviously football's in a league by itself, you watch, no matter who's playing. You shouldn't care, if you're a sports fan, what jersey it has. You do care more, depending on your alliances or your hatred for a team. But it's the finals. That's why you watch a little bit even in the regular season. And that's question number one. Question number two, and I mentioned this last night, Matthew Tkachuk of the Vegas Golden Knights had a hit on Jack Eichel that was incredible, wasn't it, TNT? Well, he came back. He was fine. He even said it was a legal hit. He said kind of my fault for having my head down a little bit. So I want to ask this, besides the what are you watching and why or why not question, what's your favorite hockey hit of all time? 248-539-9797. Thank you, Chris. 248-539-9797 is the telephone number. Finals going on right now in both sports. NBA resumes, I believe, tomorrow night, correct? With the Denver Nuggets going to Miami. Hockey will resume on Thursday night, I assume, because I don't think any of them are on the same day, which, if they were, would be really stupid. All right, so we're asking why are you watching and why aren't you watching, number one. And number two, because there was a great hit last night in the game with Kachuk hitting Eichel. What's your favorite hockey hit of all time? And I got two of them. One of them was against the Red Wings, and the other was against the Carolina Hurricanes, I believe, and they were both by the same person, and that's Scott Stevens. The 95 hit that he had on Kozlov was just unfreaking believable.
I thought last night's hit was a little reminiscent of that.
Yeah. And there's another one that I got refreshed while I was just looking at stuff in the break. He hit Ron Francis, and Francis just skates and then just falls back down because he couldn't get his equilibrium together.
Yeah.
He was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Scott Stevens. Well, I think one of them, sometimes a forgotten great defenseman.
Yes, indeed. He was terrific, and he had a great hit against Eric Lindros as well. Don't forget in the I believe it was the semifinals, New Jersey against Philadelphia. Also, I believe it was in 95 as well. 248-539-9797. And look, Kronwall, I mean, the term Kronwalled was for a reason. He was unbelievable here.
I have plenty of favorites. You know, I love hockey, and I miss these hits in the game. You know, I've got a Kronwall one that I don't know what it is. I think it was the timing in the series, and it was against the Blackhawks. But on is it Martin or Martin Havlat? Remember?
Martin Havlat. Yeah, Havlat. Yeah.
In 2009, that was the conference finals, and it is the closest 50-50. Was it cheap or not? Because there's one angle that looks like he comes off his feet, but then there's another angle you can clearly see that the blade never leaves the ice. And it's like really one of those, and he got kicked out of the game, but the Blackhawks just went nuts. They hated it. They couldn't let it go. And that's what I loved about it. Like, they were still talking about it days after, and the Wings went on to win that series 4-1. And it just, I thought it just put a, not yet, Kane and Taves. This isn't your time yet.
Yeah.
That was in 2009, I believe.
Yes.
Yes.
Now the Wings went on to lose Game 7, but
Did they
I
blow
love that hit.
It's a 3-1 series lead in that, right? Didn't they lead
Who?
3-1? One of the teams had a 3-1.
No. This is the Wings won the series 4-1.
Oh, okay.
This is the 2009 when they lost
yeah.
the last time they made the Stanley Cup Finals.
Right, okay.
I just love that hit.
Let's go to David in Grosse Pointe. You're in 97 on the ticket.
Hey, yeah, I wanted to bring up Scott Stevens again. The guy was in a league of his own back then. So you're talking about 95, even up to 02, when they're in the finals against the Ducks. And he levels Paul Kariya in the neutral zone, and Paul Kariya goes unconscious. And that was back, when there was a little bit less scrutiny around traumatic injuries. And you could see on the replay, his eyes are closed, and eventually you see him come to, and he fogs his visor. And the guy was just different. Part of the story was, Paul Kariya comes back from that hit to win the game. Might have been in overtime, but yeah, Scott Stevens was just a difference maker.
Yeah. He did it for so many teams. He did it for New Jersey, for St. Louis, Washington. He was just a great player. And Gov, I'm watching the one you were talking about, and Hava is just on the ice for a long period of time.
I hate the Blackhawks. Okay, like seriously. They've got one of the greatest logos, I think, in team sports, but I just despise them.
Yeah, especially because it was in Chicago, too.
I know. I love that it just was so Kronwall.
Mm-hmm. All right, here's some ticket texts. First on the hits. Do you remember when Hasek left the crease and took out Marian Gaborik? Best hit ever. Konstantinov on Lindros at the blue line. Yeah, that was a classic, too. Is it bad to say the hit Lemieux on Draper only because of what it gave us? You can say whatever you want, but that was not a great hit.
No.
My favorite hockey hit of all time was when Konstantinov obliterated Dale Hawerchuk in the Stanley Cup Finals and then stood over him. Oh, God, that was awesome. Honorable mention is when Shanahan intercepted Patrick Waugh from interrupting McCarty and Lemieux turtling.
This is the whole Scott Stevens thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's been very educational for me in the last 10 minutes as I have been looking at
Scott Stevens hits.
The greatest hits that Scott Stevens has. Holy cow. Yeah. That dude could bring it.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, and it's not just like one random hit.
Oh, no.
It's hit after hit after hit. And guys, you mentioned Francis scrambling to get up so close to the bench and can't find his way, and they come out and try and help him to the bench.
It's classic. As far as watching the NBA Finals or Stanley Cup Finals, I'm not watching the hockey or basketball finals because I don't have the channels. Okay, well, the basketball's on ABC.
Yeah, that's on.
And the hockey is on TNT, which is basic cable, right?
Yeah,
but if you don't have cable, I get it.
That's on you if you can't get ABC.
Yes. How do you not have ABC?
Well, you got to have an antenna if you have over-the-air TV.
I mean, if you don't have TV at all, okay, I get it. But yes. if you're like the local or the network broadcasters are still on, if you have YouTube TV, if you have Hulu TV, if you have all, like, ABC is still part of that package.
Yeah.
Your basic package.
Watching basketball, not one of the 8 people watching hockey. Okay. I love the hockey versus basketball arguments. It's crazy. I'm not watching because Diablo 4 is out and my friends are all playing. We are in our 40s and it's nostalgic. That's David in St. Clair Shores.
The video game?
I assume so.
Have fun.
Yeah. I'm watching the finals of both sports because of the Tigers. NHL, yes. Hoping for 7 games. Not looking good. NBA, no. Honestly, have not watched the NBA in over a decade. Okay. I'm watching Vegas. I've been watching since year 1 and just love the way a bunch of misfits came together and become successful as Vegas has been. Definitely watching the NBA Finals. Joker is the best player in the world right now, and Denver is a true team, in quotes. Well, that true team might lose the NBA Finals.
You kind of have 2 teams right now that you could say are true teams. Like Denver is, especially when Djokovic is not the elite. Jokic is not the not the tennis player.
You got your Jokers mixed up.
when I'll just say Joker. When Joker's not the leading scorer.
Right.
Like his triple-doubles are amazing, and that's when Denver's at its best. And it's the same thing with Miami. We talk about the undrafted guys and how they're contributing, and Jimmy Butler, and like watching them move the ball around and make something happen against a team that's more talented.
Correct.
You get 2 really good basketball teams playing against each other.
And it's going to be interesting in Game 3 whether the message of Mike Malone has gotten through, because he wasn't happy after Game 1.
Especially the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and he said after Game 2, he goes, this is the NBA Finals.
Yeah.
You know, we have to have a little more urgency. I mean, they've been awful at the beginning. They were awful at the beginning of the game in Game 2, and they were obviously awful in the game in the fourth quarter of both games. I mean, this is what you play for.
Maybe that's the 10-day break.
Maybe.
You know, because I'd ask him, and maybe he was asked, was there urgency in the other rounds?
Yeah, but they came out gangbusters. Game one, they came out in the first 3 quarters.
Yeah, it was just Game 1. It was Game 2 in the first quarter.
But he said it after Game 1, didn't he?
Yeah, because he was unhappy with the fact that Miami got so many open shots.
Right.
Miami didn't make them, which is why they ended up losing, or ended up, Denver had control of that game.
Right.
But they hit they shot nearly 50% from behind the arc in Game 2.
You made some great insight that really, I raised my eyebrow. Hasn't his 3 40-point games been their
3 losses?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anytime he scores more than 40, they lose.
You said, I think before Game 1, you can make a case, just let him get his.
Yes. And stop everybody else. Right. And they couldn't stop Jamal Murray or Aaron Gordon. And the coaching change that Spoelstra made for Game 2 when he started Kevin Love and put him on Aaron Gordon, giving him more size, and that allowed Jimmy Butler to actually get going a little bit as well. So it was.
Gov, you didn't hear that Monty Williams was bringing in Stoney as special assistant to the head coach?
Yeah, exactly.
I'd love for you to just have a say, and then to know if your say's worked or not.
No, you wouldn't.
You would have some luck.
Yeah, but I'm not for X's and O's. That's why I would never be a color analyst. I can't see these guys because most of them are all coaches like the Van Gundys and Mark Jackson and even 99-year-old Hubie Brown. they sit there and they look at things completely different.
I know
it's
they
like,
do.
It's like when
I'm
John
not saying
looks
you're
at the
them.
offensive line. I know.
But it's like you would provide entertainment. Like I remember when you
Well,
did play-by-play one time, you said he'll get nothing and he'll like it or something like
Yes,
that.
Exactly.
Yeah, the entertainment value would certainly be there.
Right. I mean, look, for the Tigers, as the season
Tanks.
it wouldn't have to be me. It could be anybody who's somewhat, I put in quotes, entertaining, especially during a baseball broadcast, to be like have fun during the broadcast.
Sure, yeah. You just have to lay out every 24 seconds as there's a pitch.
Yeah.
It's just quick, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, I would be, to that I could be the analyst on. I don't have to be play-by-play.
Why aren't they bunnying here, Dan?
Yeah, exactly. Come on, Shep, loosen up a little bit,
Let's
buddy.
manufacture some
your
runs.
TV?
Yeah.
Sure.
You'd be better with Dan.
Yeah, that's fine. Whatever.
Back Stoney when you could do like the A series and like he could ask you, in 1901 when the Philadelphia A's did this.
Exactly.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
Hopefully
Great
the Tigers-
historical context.
Right. Hopefully the Tigers will do good against the other Philadelphia team than they did last night. By the way, somebody posted, this is unbelievable. He's actually the baseball columnist of the New York Times. 2 fans with Phillies jerseys outside the game yesterday. Hernandez, 48, and Walkenfuss, 14. And he asked why, and he said because they're Tiger fans. They wanted to pay homage to the trade that brought Willie Hernandez to Detroit. Willie Hernandez, when he was with the Phillies for the brief time, was 48, and John Walkenfuss, of course, was 14. People do the strangest things with their jerseys. Unbelievable. 97 won the ticket. 248-539-9797. Don't forget the Detroit Tigers will try to snap their 4-game losing streak this evening in Philadelphia against the Phillies, who were really struggling. But hey, for a struggling team, best medicine is Joey Wentz and the Detroit Tigers. Wentz 4 4/3 in 4 4/3. Yeah, great. 4 1/3. That would be 5 1/3. 4 1/3. I can't read my handwriting there. 7 hits, 5 runs, 5 walks, 2 homers by Trey Turner, who Philadelphia gave like a ridiculous amount of money to. And he was really struggling before last night. People were saying this is one of the worst free agent signings we've ever had. So maybe since Lance Parrish. That didn't work out well for Philly, but Castellanos is actually playing pretty well.
Yep.
Maton breaks up the Aaron Nola no-hitter with a 3-run bomb second deck in the 6th inning. No idea who the Tigers starter is going to be. Maybe Garrett Hill was called up, be like an opener, like a bullpen day. But you can listen to that game right here on 97.1 The Ticket. Vegas over Florida last night in hockey, 7-2. They knocked Bobrovsky out of the game when it was 4-0. Just early in the game, it was just great. Just guys flying, hits all over the place, the way hockey should be. Also, I do want to. Yesterday, I emceed a golf event, the Diabetes Solutions golf outing yesterday, and I was waiting for the event to start or the golf to finish before I came on, and so I was in the locker room watching television, and they had the Women's College World Series on, and Oklahoma defeated Stanford to get to the World Series, and their opponent will be Florida State.
Correct.
Which means, John, your favorite pitcher will be pitching for the Seminoles, Catherine Sandercock. So America will get to see Sandercock more and more in the next week.
Yes, yes. Hopefully she doesn't have a rough outing.
Greg, you look like you're about to say something.
Catherine doesn't even know who you are, Stoney.
That's true. You're right. She doesn't. And let's keep it that way.
Speaking of blanks, isn't Mike Babcock getting?
Oh,
blanks.
Well, I'll get to him in a second. Yes, and did you? I mean, I know Doug. I know. Hold on.
How are we going to transition out of this one?
No, I'm going to ask you. So
Come on, Mr. Professional.
I know Doug has an affinity. No, not yet. Not yet. We're going to get the Babcock.
No, we got something even better coming before we get to Heather's news.
No, hold on 1 second. I know Doug has an affinity for college softball. Do you like it as well? It's kind of.
I do.
It's interesting. I don't like the fact that they have all their pitches on there. The pitchers look like NFL quarterbacks or college quarterbacks with all the plays on there. I mean, 1, 2, 3. You know what you're going to throw, right?
Well, it has to do with location, pitch type, speed. There's a lot that goes into it. So
I understand. Can you imagine if they did that with baseball? You'd sit there. I don't know. I just find it weird. That's all.
Well, but there's a lot of different hitting styles in softball as well. You've got ones that are almost
slap
exclusively
hitters,
bunts.
the power hitters.
Bunt, show bunts, hit for power. I mean, there's a lot of different variables, and it's
kind of fun.
It's a lot of fun. It's very entertaining.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of
things that bother Stoney.
No.
Softball pitchers.
Things that bother other people. These are people with the second syllable in the same name as Catherine Sandercock. Former Red Wings coach Mike Babcock is in the news again. It appears that he will be the head coach of the Columbus Blue Jackets. Babcock got fired in Toronto for a variety of reasons.
A lot of those down in Columbus.
Yeah. Most importantly, not taking the Maple Leafs out of the first round of the playoffs. But he also had some issues with some of his players, including Mitch Marner. And it came out later that former Red Wing Mike Commodore had a huge problem with him. Commodore, basically a decent defense, but nothing special. Is going to come back here, maybe finish out his career here. Had a promise that Babcock wouldn't be a problem with him anymore, but that was not the case. Chris Chelios had a problem with him with the way he treated Johan Franzen, lots of stuff. Anyway, Mike Commodore, who's, like I mentioned, number 1 on the Babcock hate list, he spoke yesterday about Babcock's getting back into hockey. now be in the Red Wings division.
Yeah, that's bitterness at its finest.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He's pissed.
All right, so
hates him.
if he's got buddies in Columbus, he would actually want it to work for them. Like Babcock's maybe dial it down one notch and he turns around the organization. But you're so bitter and you hate Babcock so much, you'd rather see him fail than your buddies.
Well, if you
Yeah.
if you believe that somebody basically ended your career, I don't think your friendship with your buddies would supersede that bitterness.
No. I mean, when I left Washington, I turned in my playbook, but I had everything else up in my head, and I gave it everything to Detroit because I wanted to beat, and it didn't matter. Hey, one of my best friends, Casey Robach, was the center. Mike Sellers is the fullback. I told them every call, everything that would happen on that day, and we were able to come away with the win.
First one in 19 games, right?
Yeah.
That's right. Jim Schwartz.
You ended the streak.
Jim Schwartz, baby.
Yes.
All right, it's time for news, and here's Heather.
Well, an unresponsive toddler was rescued by Macomb County deputies and firefighters on Saturday after she fell into the family's pool. This is, if you own a pool or you're out by the water, this is like your worst nightmare to have this happen. Authorities received a really panicked call from the 2-year-old's mother after she found her baby unresponsive in the pool. The child's dad started CPR, and they say within 2 minutes of that call, deputies arrived and jumped into action. They decided that waiting for an ambulance was not an option. So they were going to transport this baby to the hospital on their own. A firefighter took the little girl to the deputy's car, continued to perform CPR while the deputy drove to the hospital. From there, she was airlifted to Royal Oak. But now she is home with their family, expected to make a full recovery. Just absolutely terrifying. You know, they said that they were eating breakfast, had some cartoons on. Mom and dad were in the house, but doing some chores and things and didn't realize their daughter had gotten outside until it was too late. Of course, now they were taking extra precautions around their pool, around how to get in and out of the house as well. A 16-year-old Harper Woods high school student is facing some charges after he brought a gun to school last week. According to this preliminary investigation, a member of the Harper Woods high school staff actually came across the student who had a handgun and a backpack on Wednesday. And then once this adult found the gun, the student just took off on foot, ran away with the weapon. But they do say about an hour later, police were able to locate the teen at his Detroit home. They did arrest him. He was taken to the Wayne County Juvenile Detention Center, where he has been charged with carrying a concealed weapon and possessing a weapon in a school weapon-free zone. There's always these dangerous social media trends that are going on. Some more dangerous than others, some stupid that are causing injuries. But there's another one that's pretty dangerous that's already claimed the lives of several people, and it's called chroming. And it's basically when you inhale the fumes of a toxic source like an aerosol can or a paint container just so you can get that high. And then, you know, it subsides and you do it again or not. But experts are warning that this activity, which is trending on TikTok, can obviously cause some deadly side effects. It can cause heart attacks, seizures, suffocation, comas, choking, and permanent organ damage. And there's a story trending of this little girl, 13 years old, from Australia, who died after engaging in this chroming. It says that the teen died after inhaling fumes from a deodorant can at a sleepover with friends, saw this trending, thought, okay, let's try it. Didn't realize that this trend could be so dangerous. And that's what the problem is that when you see it on social media and people are making it look like it's fun.
How isn't like TikTok held responsible for this? They're the ones
all of these trend on TikTok. I mean, other social media sites too, but TikTok. Some of them
are taken down.
And they're not shown anymore. But apparently, this one is trending, and now this little girl's parents are really hoping they can spread the news so that more kids aren't killed by this trend.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Finally, in a shocking study, you guys, it's been discovered that the majority of people actually sleep better after they have sex.
You think?
Shocking, right?
No.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like, shocking. It's ridiculous. Results show that 75% of survey respondents reported that they slept better after having sex close to bedtime.
Shocking.
And the majority reported experience a moderate improvement in their sleep on those nights. The study also found that 64% of respondents also felt that sleeping pills had a similar or worse effect on their sleep compared to sex.
Well, look, you're tired. When you sleep better, usually when you're tired, that's why you go to
Yeah.
sleep, and you tire yourself out, usually when you have sex, so you sleep better.
I mean, it seems
Really?
obvious.
Yeah.
I
You're
can't
doing
believe
it right.
I can't believe somebody spent money on that
Well,
study.
they say that there has been
Well-
little scientific data that exists around the impact
Oh.
of sex and sleep quality. So
Yeah.
let's see if
I mean,
we.
I'd
yeah.
volunteer for science.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's do this for the world, Lisa. Right?
That's right. Exactly. No
And
doubt.
for my health, I mean, I need a good night's sleep.
That's right. Exactly. All right. Thank you very much, Heather. 248-539-9797.
All right, the Michigan Panthers are back in Detroit, and you need to get down to Ford Field on Sunday, June 18th at 7 o'clock when the Panthers host the Philadelphia Stars on Father's Day. It's a rematch of the 1983 USFL Championship game, and it's also WWE Superstars Night as the Panthers MC Big E is bringing his WWE friends to Detroit for the game. Ford Field will also be filled with activities for fans young and old, including a photo booth, a sign-making contest, cornhole, face painters, and caricature artists. And you'll even be able to test your vertical jump just like the pros do. Don't miss the Panthers versus the Stars on Sunday, June 18th at 7 p.m. at Ford Field. Great seats will get you right next to the action for just $10. And WWE's Big E will be there with surprise guests. Buy your tickets today at theusfl.com.
248-539-9797. I missed this last night, but John expertly pointed it out to all of us this morning. My favorite organization that actually was invented to actually do a lot of good things, and they actually do plenty of good things.
They do.
However, they also do things just
some
to
wacko
create
things.
attention,
Yes.
and we get sucked into talking about their stupidity at times. And that
Well,
is-
you don't necessarily cook on the grill, but you like food that is cooked on the grill.
yes, and I have cooked on the grill in the past. Yes.
Okay, you do have that ability.
Yes.
You prefer, or Cindy prefers that she do it.
Yes. Exactly.
All right. What's your favorite grilled food?
I would probably say steak.
Steak. Okay. Yeah, I would agree. Heather.
I'd go with like corn on the cob or like veggies.
Corn on the cob is a
Corn on the
it's a
cob is-
sneaky
Yeah.
good
Oh,
one on
yes.
the
It's
grill.
Very good grilled.
All right, Gov.
Oh, steak.
Grill. You know what
Steak,
else is
yeah.
sneaky good? Don't laugh at me. Grilled salmon.
I love grilled salmon. And it's I love anything off of the grill. And this is the time of year that we all love to grill. We talked about it, and I might have been with Costa, but it was Memorial Day. Is it Labor Day? Is it the 4th of July? Is it Father's Day? Like, what is the best grilling holiday? But, and I'm sure, Stoney, that, being a sophisticated individual that you are, and obviously having loved ones depending on you, you also probably have, if you were to meet your demise, do you have a will in place?
Yes.
Let me ask you if you have this provision, because this is where we're going with this, with the grilling, as well as providing for your loved ones.
Okay.
People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, better known as PETA.
Oh, my favorites. They do so much good work.
Yeah, President Ingrid Newkirk said she updated her will recently to include a request for her flesh to be donated for a human barbecue. She says flesh is flesh and mine is given, not taken. The thought of carving up human flesh for steaks might be just the thing to jolt diners into kindness. So you're going to go home and have a
Grilled Ingrid. Put a little barbecue sauce on Ingrid.
You're gonna leave your flesh to provide sustenance for those that are counting on you for so much?
Don't think so. Don't think so.
Be kind of.
Yeah.
I don't even know.
Ingrid. Ooh,
I don't
tastes like
even-
chicken.
You brought it up, John. You got what you deserve.
Yeah.
No, it's tough, stringy.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
It's skin on.
Salty because of the sweat. All right.
But yes, that's
How'd you like your Stony cooked? Medium rare. Well done.
yes. Better cook all that stuff out of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's we did see this last night again this morning that the president of PETA has amended her will that she be a human barbecue.
You know, it is rather disgusting to even think of that.
Yes, and it doesn't change the fact that I would still love to go home and for lunch cook myself up a nice juicy red steak.
Yeah.
I will not be thinking of Ingrid at all.
Good.
It may be a nice story
I like
around
to get
the
attention.
grill.
Yeah, I know. I just want to pose this question to you. I have no idea the answer, and I actually have no inclination of trying to find out. But if one were to
Partake or
partake or
all right.
taste grilled Ingrid or whoever off the grill, what do you think it would taste like? No, but I'm still, would it taste just like?
This is what you did by bringing this up.
Would it be like meat of other animals? Because we are considered animals, right?
Yes, we are.
Right. Just, would our skin taste like animal,
I don't know what the skin would taste. I don't know what the meat would taste like.
Me neither. I don't want to find out, but I wondered though. You can,
I don't.
I have no. Yeah, me
I
neither.
never
don't
did
know.
till freaking Ingrid.
Uh-huh.
Let's get back to the things that are good on the grill.
Would you use sauce? Dipped in butter? Oh, a little barbecue sauce?
Barbecue Ingrid.
Hot and spicy?
Spicy Ingrid.
Let's go back to last segment, cocktail sauce.
Oh, yeah.
Babber Sander. Yeah.
So how did you try and change the subject here, Gov? What was what were the greatest things on the grill?
Yeah. Or underrated. Because you brought up corn on the cob, Heather.
It's good.
I think shrimp.
Shrimp is very good.
Shrimp is good. It all depends. See, I'm not a barbecue sauce guy. I don't like my ribs to have, I don't like them to be wet. I like them more the dry rub and then smoked, and then I can choose to dip or not dip at that point. Same with shrimp. I don't like, there's so many barbecue sauces, and it's one of the sauces that I think is way overdone, that I have a few that I would prefer, but I also just enjoy, whether it's shrimp, it's salmon, it's steak, it's pork. I really enjoy the different flavors of meat, so I don't want to cover it up with a sauce.
Oh, exactly. I'm totally into when it comes to ribs or chicken, if I'm gonna have barbecue sauce, I want to put it on myself while I'm eating it instead of it being on there before. But
pre-sauced,
steak, it's rare that. Look, if I'm at a restaurant and it comes with some sort of zip sauce or something, I'll use some of it. I actually prefer my steak with no sauce.
Right, yeah. No. It's definitely a steak. It has to be, sauce free, and it's usually season free. Salt and pepper, I'm okay with that. Maybe some Montreal seasoning, but for the most part, I just enjoy the flavor of the different cuts of meat, and whether it's venison, it's elk, it's beef, it's all got a distinct flavor.
Okay, where can you get elk here? Like at a restaurant?
At a restaurant, I don't know.
Unless you're going to go shoot me some elk and make it for me.
I will do my best this fall. I don't know if I'll have that opportunity. Okay. But I do have some friends that will go elk hunting, and they'll send me some. So if I get some,
I'd love that, because I've tried. Venison is delicious.
Elk is by far the best red meat that I've ever had.
Really?
Oh, it's
because it's tender, or what?
It's tender, and it just has a distinct flavor to it, and it's not. It's like venison is very different than beef,
right,
in terms of flavor. Elk is much closer to beef than venison is, and it's just the flavor of it is unique, and it's just super yummy.
I got a question here.
Yeah.
Why is it called venison?
And not deer?
Yes. Because elk's called elk.
Yeah.
Why do we call it beef and not cow?
Exactly. So it's because of
it's just
the
cute
meat. The cute deer. We call it something different just to take the maybe the sting.
I'm fine eating Bambi. I mean, you could
Duck,
call
rabbit.
it whatever you want.
Yeah, exactly.
Those are cute.
Yeah,
they are, and they're super yummy. Yes.
Oh, duck is really good.
Oh, Daffy is amazing.
I wonder where venison came from, like that name, that term. You don't know? You're a connoisseur.
I am. I just eat it.
See, I like venison.
I don't try and dig too deep into some of these topics.
Very simple question.
Just put it on my plate. Give me a knife and fork, and let me chow.
Let's eat.
Venison is. I like venison, but it wouldn't be my first choice ever. I love it in chili. I think it's excellent chili.
Yes.
So is turkey.
Yeah, I mean, turkey's a good substitute.
Venison actually derives from a Latin word that means to hunt or pursue.
Oh, wow.
So.
You can hear me typing. Yes, it's great radio. The word derives from the Latin venari, meaning to hunt or pursue, like Heather just said.
Yes. Sounds like
this term entered the
me.
English language through Norman French venison in the 11th century, following the Norman conquest of England and the establishment of royal forests.
Oh.
There you go.
Norman venison.
Yeah, I don't know who he is.
Sounds like he used to play for the Canadians in the day.
I'm a Latin guy. I don't know. That's Latin.
Do you remember when people? I still can't believe that people used to take Latin, or even still do in like school.
I took a semester of Latin at Michigan.
Did you really?
Mm-hmm. I like learning where language, like the origination of the language, the origination of words, and how we got to where we are right now. How it's changed over the years.
Because the way you like bacon so much, I figured you would have taken a class in Pig Latin.
But Stoney, pre-med students have to take Latin because it's where it's how the bones are all named in your body.
Yeah.
Ah.
I remember we were in Michigan one day, and they were saying Donovan Peoples-Jones was coming from Latin class because he's a pre-med major.
Yeah.
Oh. John wasn't pre-med, though.
I was. That's where I went.
Really?
For, yeah. Quickly changed to, major in football.
Dr. Jansen.
I wanted to be an orthopedic surgeon when I went to school. That was the goal.
Interesting.
Changed, but
then the courses got a little harder. You said,
No, it had
So what
nothing
did
to
you
do with the
major in?
courses. Education. Yeah.
physical
Football.
education.
Football.
Mr. Jansen.
Physical
Think
education.
about what would you have taught?
Either health class or gym class.
Oh.
Yeah, coach. Yeah.
You know the old saying, those who teach, those who can't teach Jim. Our telephone number is 248-539-9797.
Yeah, so let me reiterate that phone number,
No, I know.
248-539-9797.
Come on.
Call one
I'm
Michael
sure
Stephen
I'm sure
Stone.
people, they've all heard it.
All you teachers.
97 won the ticket. 248-539-9797. Carson Anderson coming up at 10 o'clock. Here's some ticket texts. We're talking about underrated things on the grill. Asparagus on the grill.
Asparagus on the grill. We were just talking about asparagus.
Yeah.
I love fresh asparagus.
Yummy.
And if you're fortunate enough to have an asparagus patch somewhere around your house, you're sitting on a little gold mine there.
Wow.
It's really good.
Their farts smell, though. I mean, when you if you eat asparagus and you fart.
your pee
Your
smells.
pee smells.
pee smells.
I don't think it makes your farts
Me neither,
smell.
but man, your pee.
Oh, yeah, it smells like asparagus, yeah.
It smells like plastic.
Shrimp off the grill with St. Elmo's cocktail sauce.
If you're eating it wrong.
Shrimp off the grill with St. Elmo's cocktail.
Oh, sure.
sauce.
Yeah.
Yes. That's
Yeah.
from the butcher. You can get elk in Almont at the Country Smokehouse.
Oh, okay.
Nothing beats a hamburger over an open flame or a bonfire. Stephen at work.
Yeah, if you get the grate over the fire, that's where you're cooking it.
Now, Keith in Highland says you can get elk at the Laundry in Fenton, but only on their dinner menu.
Oh, so you got to go to that must be a restaurant.
Must be a
then.
restaurant,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
John would be gamey.
That probably would be a little chewy, a little gamey.
Venison is any animal hunted. It's most common here referred to deer because that's the biggest game hunted here. Elk, caribou, moose are all venison
Okay.
under the venison umbrella.
Category, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I mean, most people would just only, I guess maybe because it's here, but I've been in some other places of the country where the mule deer they'll refer to as venison, but it's still if it's elk, it's just simply elk. I haven't heard them refer to it as venison. Doesn't mean they don't. Just I haven't heard that.
Mule deer, is that?
It's a bigger deer.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not a whitetail.
The most exotic food I think I ever had was at this fancy-ass restaurant in the country of Great Falls, Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
I went on a date with my girlfriend at the time. A very romantic place. It was called L'Auberge Chez Francois.
Oh, a winery?
Nah, I don't know the wine. It was not a winery. But to keep it with the French cuisine, I had lapin, which is rabbit.
Oh, okay.
And I just checked their menu. They don't have lapin anymore.
Well, maybe it's just out of season, or
is there a rabbit season? I have no idea. I mean, well, I guess
sure. There's a rabbit season. Yeah, but I mean, if you're
know,
commercially producing it, maybe
they're in our backyard all the time.
Yeah,
and the dogs try to chase them.
They still come around a lot with the dogs around. See, ours rabbit. We rarely see them anymore since Sadie showed up on the scene.
At night they're there, and all of a sudden we'll take the dogs out, and they see the dogs, and boom, they're gone. They don't like the dogs, the rabbit. They're afraid of the doggies.
Those are wascally rabbits.
I know, absolutely. All right, 248-539-9797 is the telephone number. The Lions begin mandatory mini camps this week, 3 or 4 days, and Dan Campbell and company will be available to ask the tough questions or the easy questions.
Yes.
Today, tomorrow, and Thursday.
Have not shied away from any of them. Some of them have been easier than others. I like how Dan has handled talking about Jameson Williams' propensity to like different social media posts, whether it's Lamar Jackson or not getting the ball enough or people that want him to get the ball more. I think he handled that extremely well. But it really doesn't matter how he handles it. It does a little bit because the team is going to hear what he talks about publicly. How he handles that in the meetings, in the locker room is more important. And it sounds like all of that has been dealt with appropriately.
Oh, absolutely. Did you see, I'm going to try to get this, the shot of Jared Goff?
Oh, blinged up?
Yes.
Yeah, I did see that.
That was pretty cool. I mean, we had I saw a pendant from Kirby Joseph for one.
Yeah.
And there was another one. That was a funny picture.
Yeah. He's actually on my Twitter trending right now, and I'm guessing, yes, he's got the, I wonder whose sunglasses those are. They have him next to, there's two pictures, him next to Kirk Cousins, who went shirtless on the plane ride, right? But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it looks cool, but it's so un-Jared Goff-like, you know what I mean?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Yes, those are buffs.
Kids call them buffs.
Oh, those are buffs?
Yeah.
Okay. Learn something new every day. They don't seem to be as useful as sunglasses as you would think. They seem to be not dark enough.
Well, they're more for fashion.
I'm sure you could get different color lenses. I'm not sure if that has to be the same, but that's style.
You think they make lenses Honolulu blue?
I'm
Oh, we
sure.
could dare to dream.
Yeah.
What?
Dare to dream.
Would you wear Honolulu blue sunglasses, Gator?
Not if it made the world look blue.
Sure. Why not? Let's try them out. Because when it's in a glass form, it's going to look different. It's not going to. It actually might look kind of cool to have a blue tint in your glasses like that. I do have a pair of sunglasses.
There are some
more
that
blue.
have blue tints.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's what they're called,
The
but
blue blockers. Yeah, they're for 85 and above.
Oh, can I get some?
Might help your golf game.
Yeah. Right now, I shoot 85 and above.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not bad.
That's for you.
No,
yeah.
I know. I shoot
I'll take
basically 95 and above these days. What do you guys got going on the show today?
Well, lots of stuff, frankly. We'll talk about the pimping of Nick Maton for sure. that was pretty impressive.
Is there a better medicine in well, maybe Oakland? Is there a better medicine for a struggling team than Joey Wentz right now? I mean, Trey Turner was horrible, and all of a sudden he meets Wentz, and boom, 2 home runs.
Yeah, I mean, I feel a little bit bad for Joey Wentz. He's thrust into a position that he wouldn't be starting, but he has to because everybody else is hurt, and he's just not that good. Unfortunately, he's struggles.
Who would you rather have as a backup? Joey Wentz for the Tigers or Carson Wentz for the Lions? Name that Wentz.
Carson Wentz, because
You
I hope
hopefully
he
you never see
plays
him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about the backup quarterback position before, and everybody's on board. Like, hey, let's get Teddy Bridgewater. Sounds great. What would be the best outcome from Teddy Bridgewater?
Never seen
Not
You
to
never see him.
Have no
Yes,
stats.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
It'd be hilarious. You end up paying, $15 million to a backup quarterback who never plays it down.
It's an insurance policy.
Yeah,
It's why you pay for
exactly
insurance.
What it is.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So,
All right.
but we got Lions mini camp going on. There's some stuff to look at there as well.
All right, Carson Anderson coming up next. Have a wonderful day, everyone. 97.1 The Ticket. And Gators back.
after spending yesterday at the Rocket Mortgage Classic Media golf event. How'd it go?
It went well.
Yeah?
Actually, something that took place before I had the press conference, and I was very impressed with how they did this, which is something that if anybody's ever been to an event and they tried to conference in somebody on a video conference, that it never works out. You never.
It doesn't work smoothly.
No. Here you got this gathering of the media, and there's, I don't know, maybe 100 people there, and Mike Tirico is the MC for the event, and
who's the best?
He's awesome, and he's introducing everybody from Rocket Mortgage Classic and the United Way, and some other people that were there, and says, hey, we're going to hear from Tony Finau later. And I figured, okay, Tony Finau is probably just going to be a pre-recorded video, whatever. So he gets done interviewing or introducing some people. They get up and talk, and it's lots of great stuff going on with the Rocket Mortgage Classic with what they've done to bring internet accessibility to the city of Detroit, and how the program, since they started it started at 40% of the homes in Detroit had access to internet, or had homes that had tablets or devices that and somebody in the home that knew how to use them. That was in 2020. Now it's up to 70% in just a couple of years because of what this the Rocket Mortgage Classic has done to donate money and resources to it. So it's awesome. So they're talking about all that, and then they says, okay, we're going to one of the players that just decided to commit to this event is Keegan Bradley, and he was hoping to be here in person but could not. So instead, he sent us a video message. Like, all right, a video message, right? They got the TVs. Like, this is going to take forever. No, they went right to it, and here's Keegan Bradley saying, I had a great time. I love Detroit. It's awesome. Can't wait to come back and then see everybody. Okay. And then the Tony Finau part came, and I thought, here comes a train wreck. And no, right away, and it's Tony Finau. He's sitting in some room. He's ready to go. He's got this weird-looking headset on, or headphones on, and it was actually a live interview and a lot of give and take with he and Tirico. They obviously know each other, and they're kind of friendly with each other. It was fun, and it was just it's always a really nice event, and take part in it and get to play golf in the course there and see how it's set up, and a lot of work to be done the next few weeks to get it all ready with all the everything that goes on with putting the grandstands up, and there's more accessibility this year for fans, and
it was a great fan event.
Yeah,
going last year just on a ticket. Went with my wife, and we had a blast. Loved every minute of it.
I think you mentioned there's an area on there, I think they call it the Bird's Nest, where you can stand up and you can basically see the entire course from a certain spot on the course. And there was like limited seating. And I guess they've expanded maybe it's not even seating, but they've expanded the area there where you can really look out onto most of the course and see it from a certain spot, which is kind of cool. But they've done that with a lot of areas there where there's so many grandstands that are free to the people as opposed to people that paid an extra price and
yes,
hospitality
there's a
suites.
lot. Just a regular grounds pass will get you to some surprisingly good seating. In terms of accessibility, there was a bar area that overlooked the 9th green that was awesome. There was a platform, and I'm going to try and find the hole. The platform was back by 13, maybe. I think it's 13. The green at 12, the tee box at 13. You could see the green at 16. There was a lot all from this platform area. So, I highly recommend it if you have thought about going in the past. It is a good viewer experience. And as far as video conferencing and stuff like that, when that works, I have hosted quite a few team banquets throughout the years as the MC.
Yeah.
And I realized something early on, that when we go to the video, like let's go to the highlight video, it never worked.
No.
It never, the video would come on, there'd be no audio. Right. Or the screen would be blue and the thing would say play and nothing. And so after this happened to me, and I'm not kidding, 80% of the banquets I was at, I would say, okay, here's the deal. And there were different facilities. It was always the same thing. Typically, there was video but no audio. And at one point, we sat there through a quiet team video, which included like people being interviewed, and you just couldn't hear anything. And it just was like, what are we even doing here? But what always happens is we get to that part of the show and there'd be a problem with the video, and I'd be standing up front with the mic and I'd be, okay.
Gotta work this out and should have worked out. Are we ready yet? Nope. Okay. Telling me to keep stretching. And
then you're like, are there any questions?
Right. Did anybody try this ahead of time?
Yeah. And
so it worked.
Whenever it works, I'm always like,
this was worked as smoothly as possible. So I was impressed with that. And I saw the new greens for the 2 holes that were vandalized several weeks ago. I know there's a lot of in the press about these holes that have been vandalized, which is horrible. But the new greens are spectacular. They're pristine. They haven't been touched. The only people that go on it are the people that are watering the greens. So they really look good. And it's going to be a great event. They've got half of the top 70 from the FedEx Cup standings have committed to playing in this. And every day they get more and more people committing. So it's kind of cool that Keegan Bradley did the other day, and look forward to hearing who the next people are.
Well, we have massive breaking news from the world of golf.
Oh.
It's just been announced that the PGA and LIV are merging.
Seriously?
Yep. According to CNBC, the PGA Tour has agreed to merge with the Saudi-backed rival LIV Golf in a deal that would see the competitors squash pending litigation and move forward as a larger golf enterprise. The two entities signed an agreement that would combine the PGA Tour and LIV Golf's commercial business and rights into a new, yet-to-be-named for-profit company. The agreement includes the DP World Tour, also known as the European PGA Tour. LIV Golf is backed by Saudi Arabia Public Investment Fund, an entity controlled by the Saudi Crown Prince, and has been embroiled in an antitrust lawsuit with the PGA Tour since last year.
Wow.
As part of the agreement, the 3 groups will establish a fair and objective process for any players who want to reapply for membership with the PGA Tour or DP World Tour following the end of the 2023 season. I don't know how this is going to work.
Well, this is interesting because I wonder, you have a million questions. How does this affect the contracts that they have with LIV? Do they still have to honor those contracts? Does LIV have to honor those contracts with the players?
Yep.
Because these were,
massive.
They were insane. 7, 8, 9-figure deals that these guys are signing.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder how that works. I'm happy about this because it should end any worry about Ryder Cup stuff. That would mean that these guys can now, if they're good enough, they can play on the Ryder Cup for both the United States and for Europe. Because there were some questions about that. It seemed like the animosity between the two, it has been abating seriously over the last several months. There's still a couple flickers here and there. I don't think anybody likes Phil Mickelson, but beyond that, it's been okay. You know, Rory's been less vocal about it. Even talked about having guys in a Ryder Cup team, and you know, he talked about it for the Americans and how it would make sense, and how the Europeans, it's gonna be tougher to get that a tougher sell, but. I guess I like it. Initial blush. I guess I feel good. Get to see Brooks Koepka playing on tour, and what does this mean for Rocket Mortgage Classic, if anything? Is this too soon?
There's a lot here, and I guess I'm thinking about what do I want, what do I not want? Because there's a lot I don't want. I didn't like LIV, and it has nothing to do. We could get into the morals too.
Yeah,
but I'm just saying. I had no interest in their events.
Well, yeah.
None.
But and I'm with you. I had no interest in their events either. I had nothing. The golfers made their decisions. Go ahead, do what you're going to do. And eventually it didn't matter. It didn't affect your legacy. Brooks Koepka still went out and won the PGA Championship. So how does it affect his legacy? It improved it. So what difference does that make? I think another benefit of this, does this mean the fans will stop booing the LIV golfers if they're on a PGA Tour event?
I don't know. There's a lot here. As well, it just announced, just breaking, PGA and LIV are merging. So all the players that left, I guess, are back. But There's a whole host of questions.
Joe Pompliano tweets, "This will end all pending litigation. The two leagues will combine their commercial businesses into a new, yet-to-be-named company. The deal will be announced today."
All right. We'll react to this. Golf fans, what do you think? What do you want? What do you not want? It's Carson Anderson, 97.1 The Ticket. All right, Doug Carr, Scott Anderson, 97.1 The Ticket at this hour. Breaking news, the PGA Tour and Live Golf are merging. Not quite sure how this works, Gator, because they are so fundamentally different.
Yeah.
But we're talking about 54-hole tournaments in Live, shotgun starts, not nearly as many events, but Live players are banned from being PGA members. They can play in the majors still. I still think there's going to be imagine if you're a PGA player and you took a stance that I'm not taking that money. And now the guys that took the money are getting the same thing you got. Like, do you think Rory's stoked? Phil got $200 million. DJ and Bryson, $125 million. Koepka, $100 million.
Right. These guys left the tour,
took the payday, which, I mean, you have the right to do whatever you want. It's your career. But if you're a PGA player that said, no, I'm not taking that money, now do you feel like you've been suckered?
I would think there's going to be some animosity if that's the case.
Towards the PGA Tour. Like, hey, we were loyal to you.
Yeah.
And I turned down that money, and now you're inviting them back?
I wonder if, I mean, of course, there's got to be a million contingencies, right, with this because it's a merger and wondering what happens here. I can't believe that LIV is going to honor those contracts to the LIV Tour players, to like the Dustin Johnsons, the Brooks Koepkas, the guys that signed those 9-figure deals. I can't think that those are going to be honored contracts, but if they are, then yeah, I mean, you got to be looking back, and Rory was the champion of the PGA Tour. I mean, not literally the champion, but he championed the cause. And if this is what it is, and you look back and like, so what's the deal, man? I defended this throughout the whole thing, and now we're just going to let people back, and what's in it for the PGA Tour players?
And I mean, the deep end of the pool now is the PGA Tour taking blood money. That's the deep end of the pool topic.
Well,
and you've made the point all the time. If you start tracking where money comes from, and anything you do in life, you could drive yourself crazy. And you're right. If you start looking at who benefits from this and that, and the next thing you know, you're not eating Chick-fil-A. And so as a small example,
yes,
of stands that people have taken. But, man, this is wild. I did not see this coming, man. Maybe the golf world did. Maybe the golf people did.
I'm trying to figure what this is. I'm trying to come up with an equivalency to what this is like. But it's tough because there is like animosity between the two groups. And I know that you're not going to like this comparison because you probably won't understand it as well, and also because you don't like it. But in the world of professional wrestling, right now there are two major groups. You've got the World Wrestling Entertainment, WWE, and you've got All Elite Wrestling, AEW. And this would be, I guess, kind of like if those two merged and allowed for wrestlers to compete in the other's promotion, not on a full-time basis, but just every once in a while coming over. And they kind of do that now with WWE and AEW, but AEW does that with New Japan Pro Wrestling. They bring like some Japanese wrestlers in that compete in a few events a year. And then they'll send some of their wrestlers over to New Japan to compete in a few events. And it kind of works. And they call it the Forbidden Door. But this is on a bigger scale. This would be like WWE and AEW doing it with each other. But this is golf. I mean, what would it be like in,
I don't know.
I don't even know. There's like the best European basketball players play in the NBA.
That's what I was saying. So these guys already played together. Yeah. It's not like you're getting new golfers. You're getting the golfers that were already part of the tour. Brooks Koepka. I know who that guy
Brooks back.
Yeah, exactly. You're getting the same guys back. So is this? I don't understand this or what's going to happen. Did LIV just buy the PGA? I mean,
or did LIV just give up?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't. Yeah, right.
And it's an individual sport, so it's also tough. Like, is this like the KHL having their players come and play in the NHL?
But I know we're trying to find examples and comps, but these guys, they literally already played together. This was the PGA.
And they left to go to another league.
Yeah, and now they're coming back to do the same league.
Okay, we have a comment here from PGA Tour Commissioner Jay Monahan, which could help provide some insight on what this means. This transformational partnership recognizes the immeasurable strength of the PGA Tour's history, legacy, and pro-competitive model and combines it with the DP World Tour, which is the European Tour, and LIV, including the team golf concept, to create an organization that will benefit golf's players, commercial and charitable partners, and fans. Going forward, fans can be confident that we will collectively deliver on the promise we've always made to promote competition of the best professional golf, and we're committed to securing and driving the game's future. The team golf concept is coming to the PGA Tour. Is that what this means?
Yes.
Because let me tell you something about the whole team concept. If it doesn't say Detroit in front of it or Michigan in front of it, I don't really care.
Yeah.
Am I supposed to get fired up about a group of 4 millionaires playing golf together? I can't get on board with it. I don't.
No,
And that's not to say, like the one guy called last week made the comment that he roots for the Aces,
Right.
because they got a cool logo. But I can't bring myself to care about 4 unaffiliated golfers.
It has like a rock and jock feel to it, right?
Yes.
Coached by Flava Flav,
Yeah.
you know, and I'm on Flav's team. This is great. And we're taking, I mean, it doesn't really mean anything.
But I guess, in racing, people have favorite racers, and they don't. It's not, Matt Kenseth driving for the Detroit,
Yeah, but
Detroit Pistons race team.
I guess the diehard fans will know which racers are with which teams, I guess. But the casual
Which
fan,
golfers?
but the casual. Well, I'm talking about with auto racing and trying to.
I see.
Put
I
in
got you.
relation to this.
I root for a Penske driver.
Yeah,
Root for.
I don't.
Yeah. Okay.
As
I
a
got you.
casual racing fan, I don't
Yeah. It
give a
doesn't
rip
matter.
about
Yeah,
the
I know.
affiliation. The only thing I find interesting is that when you do, as a casual fan, when you do tune into a racing event, and as it's going on, you're getting educated, and the announcers let you know, hey, they got these 3 guys are racing for Ford, and you watch how they protect each other. And that's okay. You can see what they're doing. Oh, this guy wrecked that guy. Well, it's kept the competition out of the way or whatever it was. And it's golf is an individual sport. You want the team aspect of it. That's what we have Ryder Cup for. That's what the President's Cup is for. And those are awesome events. Does this mean there are going to be more events like that? I'm all for that. I love that part of it. But what I don't want is like the Rocket Mortgage Classic being divided up now. And now you've got 10 teams. 10 teams of 4 golfers in the Rocket Mortgage Classic, where it's just, hey, your best scorer is added together and boom, you come up with winners. That, to me, that's not team competition. That's convoluted. Actually having a team-oriented event like the Ryder Cup,
where it's U.S.
that's
versus,
cool. Yeah, or if you have to, and if they want to do that and have, there's a handful of tournaments each year that end up taking that kind of feel to it, but it's like team-oriented with, hey, here's Team Rory and here's Team Ricky Fowler, Team Dustin Johnson. And you've got like 5 players and 8 players in each team, whatever it is. That could be entertaining.
I almost feel like you'd have to have a draft, and I mean it. Like the pros draft other pros and put their teams together. That could be.
You want to turn golf into a bigger event. That's how you do it. You follow the NFL model, right, and take advantage of it. Which maybe we're all getting ahead of ourselves here.
I think a little bit, but either way, if we feel like there's going to be some changes to the PGA because if they're going to merge with LIV, LIV's won this battle. It's such a power move by LIV. To me, I can't go back. I think LIV just bought the PGA. They honestly just said, hey, we have so much money. PGA just ended up folding and said, you know what? We're merging with LIV, and we're going to take some of their rules or whatever. We don't know what's going to happen exactly, but
I think the thing that intrigued golfers to LIV outside of the money, obviously, were some other parts of it. Playing 54 holes instead of playing 72 because it doesn't take you get an extra day. Having the shotgun start, so it all starts, and only having a certain number of golfers on the course, so that it's not going to take all freaking day to play. It literally takes 5 hours to get the round done, and that's kind of cool. Because there were less tournaments, you had more time to be at home with the family and all this. So there were a bunch of aspects of LIV Golf that I think intrigued all golfers. But it was the money part that was the main reason why they jumped. It wouldn't surprise me if the LIV Tour was losing money hand over fist because the Saudis just didn't care. They had money to burn, and they literally burned it.
All right, 248-539-9797. This is wild. Spot Track, which does a lot of contracts. Did the Saudis just buy golf, like the whole sport?
that's what I feel like. I'm telling you, like
I feel the other way. I feel like it's PGA took advantage of
why did
LIV.
PGA just change their rules a little bit then? Why did they need LIV?
They want their golfers.
They want their golfers back.
I just think that LIV power moved them.
I hope you're wrong.
Is there
'cause
still
I'd like
are there
to see
still LIV
LIV
events? I don't even know.
Evaporated.
Is LIV done? I don't know.
To me, it's like when you talk about these other sports are trying to merge or whatever. We've seen Rory versus Brooks before. This isn't new. Like them coming back together. Like I've never seen it'd be like Webb and Yama never playing in the NBA, and we're like, oh my God, we get to see him versus Giannis. No, we've seen the.
We're just getting back. We're
just
getting our
getting
golf
it back.
We're getting our golf back. 248-539-9797.
Is this the USFL folding back in the day when they actually had good players, when they stole players from the draft?
Is it the USFL fold? Well, I don't know. If Liv,
that was only what?
If there's no remnants
years?
of Liv, if basically when this is all said and done, we just get the golfers back, and all those Liv events are gone. There's no other. Then yes, but if there's some sort of legitimate merger where I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. If we start seeing if Rory McIlroy plays in a Liv event, if there's still Liv events, then I guess you'll.
Then that feels a little bit more like Liv bought golf. Yeah. I will tell you that there's so many questions. I'm not sure anybody knows what this means yet.
I'm disappointed that this breaks today instead of yesterday, because yesterday with Mike Tirico out at the event, it would have been interesting to have Tirico's take on it.
Mike, give us a call. 248-539-9797. Carson Anderson, 97.1. Okay. This is a rapidly developing story. Liv and the PGA are merging. Look, golf isn't, it's not something we talk about all the time. Gator, I think you're a little bit bigger golf fan than I am, but I love the majors, and I personally hated Liv. And it's not, the only reason is it made watching pro golf less interesting to me. That was me. And look, I respect that everybody has, their feelings and their opinions, and I just didn't like it because a lot of the names I like to see, I wasn't seeing nearly as much of, and I had no interest in their events.
Well, I didn't like it because I didn't get to see it.
Yeah.
It was on, initially it was only on streaming services, and then it was on the CW, and you had to look to find it. And it was competing directly with the events that I want to watch.
All right, a couple quotes I want to get to. One is a PGA Tour player reached by ESPN on Tuesday in the last half hour told the worldwide leader in sports, quote, "No effing way."
Now, what you don't know is the tenor of how it was said. Was it said like defiantly, like "no effing way," or was it said like in amazement, "No effing way"?
There's a lot of ways it can be interpreted. One thing I think is pretty clear from that quote: this player didn't see it coming.
No.
Yeah, right. Whether they're mad or whether they're just surprised, they didn't see it coming. And then the other quote I wanted to read, it comes from Greg Hargrave, producer for the morning show, who's next level quietly brilliant.
Yes.
Tweets out the following.
We're sure he's not an engineer?
No, we're not. This feels like when Michael Scott left Dunder Mifflin, started his own paper company, then merged with Dunder Mifflin. 248-539-9797. Let's get to your phone calls. Matt on a cell. You're on 97.1. Hi, Matt.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
All right, Matt.
Shocked.
Yeah, I am kind of amazed by this whole thing. One, and I think you just brought it up, Gators, one reason why they might have tried to do this, well, it might be two things. The attendance for the U.S. defense has been garbage, so nothing has really come of it.
I don't know if you guys
Matt,
on speakerphone
you want a hands-off system because it's hard to hear you.
Yep. Hello?
Matt?
All right, we'll get Matt. See, Matt, if you're on a headset or something, take off, and we'll come back to you. Daryl in Detroit, you're on 97.1. Hi, Daryl.
Hey, how you guys doing today?
What's
All
up?
right, Daryl.
Okay, here's my take on what just took place a few minutes ago about LIV and the PGA merger. First of all, the PGA no longer exists now. It's just like when Daimler-Benz and Chrysler merged. It was built after a merger of equals. But who has 51% controls the company? I guarantee you the Saudis will have 51%, and another part of America just went away today.
Why do you think they would have the 51?
Because they have the money.
Yeah, but they didn't have.
Wait, let me ask you.
They had no interest.
Okay, what did the U.S. Okay, what did PGA gain by merging with them? Get their golfers back?
They got the golfers back.
Yes. Okay, so that means golfers was going the other way. So they had kept giving out more and more money, and before you know it, money buys everyone. Well, most of the folks, but they all have been on the other side. The PGA said we're going to take our losses right now and merge while we still have a chance.
See, I see it the other way around. I see it as LIV is saying we're going to take our losses right now and we're done with it and we'll merge with the PGA because nobody gave a rip about LIV.
Okay, but listen to this. Do you think PGA have an unlimited banking account like them Saudis?
No, but I don't think PGA was losing money.
I'm sure that LIV was losing money.
LIV don't care about money. When you got oil,
right? But if one side's losing, which side do you think was more likely to be losing money, LIV or PGA?
Well, I know LIV was probably losing money.
Okay, then. So you can't say that the PGA was losing money.
They don't care about the money. They don't care about the money.
Great, but you know what? They're not. They don't gain any advantage. The PGA Tour gets. Oh,
did you put us on hold. We just got cut off. That's new. I mean, we got to see the numbers. It's possible that LIV just bought the PGA Tour. It's possible.
Yeah, I don't see it.
I don't think that the PGA Tour would allow that to happen. No. I can't see them saying, that's it, we're done, you can have it.
Well, have you guys brought up the litigation stuff?
Well, all that's done with. Yeah, I did.
Well, now it's done with.
Yeah, that went back in the initial, one of the initial tweets, yes.
Well, my point is maybe they thought, I don't know what's going on here. None of us really do. We're just talking this out loud. But they thought, hey, this might be a losing battle in court. Is that where they got him? And PGA said, you know what?
I bet you that played a role in it.
And we don't want to even go through this. This ends litigation. We both make money out of this. I agree with the caller, though. I don't think the Saudis care at all about losing money or how much money. They have endless money.
What about this as a comparison, Doug? And you know more about this than I do. And it's been actually brought up recently. Last week we talked briefly about it. The open wheel racing in Indy.
Kart and IRL.
Yeah, back in the day.
Yep.
Is that similar to this?
A little bit.
Like I mean,
now, here's what's interesting about
it. It was
that.
unfortunate. It was a split, and everybody wanted them to get back together.
And this is kind of a Reader's Digest, real quick version of what happened. But basically, Tony George started his own racing league and had I don't know if he was the owner or the president or whatever of the Indy 500. So the racing league that had a whole bunch of drivers nobody'd heard of had the Indy 500. And Kart back in the day had all the drivers, but no longer had the Indy 500. And I'm not sure open wheel racing has ever recovered. Seriously. And this happened in the 90s, I think. And I think open wheel racing was the premier racing circuit in America at the time. And NASCAR blew right past them right then and there.
So because I make the comparison because that was disastrous for open wheel racing.
Yes.
This wasn't disastrous yet, and it's only been a year.
Yeah.
When you think about it, literally maybe just over a calendar year since LIV was around.
Mm-hmm.
Does this kind of avoid that whole, okay, we stepped into territory, it's a problem, let's squash it right now, get our golfers back, get everything back on track, and promote the sport the way we should, and admit that there were some advantages to what Liv was doing that the players liked. Maybe we can adopt some of those and appease everybody. And within however long period of time, 6 months, a year, everybody's going to be back to normal and we're all going to be better.
Yeah,
for it.
I think we need to see what comes out of this. Did they just buy their golfers back? Did Liv just buy golf? I mean, I don't know. And the format stuff, there was nothing that Liv brought to the table that I wanted to see. I don't want to see 54-hole tournaments. I don't really need to see shotgun starts. I don't need to see team play. I suppose it's not the worst thing in the world if they play music at tee boxes.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe
I don't need to see that either.
But the quote sounds like there's going to be some team competition. So 248-539-9797. Let's try Matt again. Are you there?
Hey guys, how you doing?
Much better. Go ahead.
There we go. Gator brought it up a minute ago, and the caller before that. Saudis they don't care about the money losses, but I think there's three things involved here that did it, and the PGA had all the leverage, and this is why I can't figure that this happened. The court deals, at least, is one. The attendance for the U.S. events has been like a disaster. I think I read the Tulsa event had like 71,000 for like the entire weekend. And Liv never got a TV contract over here. So that might be one of the reasons why they were looking at doing it, which is also the reason that the PGA Tour should have just said, you do your thing, we're doing our thing. Screw off. It's only been a year. You know, players will still get to play each other in the majors and whatever. And one other thing, the most pissed off guy in all of this, if you guys have read anything about this, is going to be Pat Perez, who is like a hack PGA guy, but he was like the fourth man, 14 handicap, fourth player on the Dustin Johnson team, who's cashing checks every week and shooting like 20.
All right, we can't do it anymore. Your phone's killing us. But yeah, look, the bottom line is I hope golf gets back to what it was before Liv came on board. I want to see the best play the best.
Yeah.
And Liv, to their credit, went out and bought many of the best.
Let me ask you this. Would you watch a team event like the Ryder Cup that featured a team of Liv golfers versus a team of PGA Tour players?
Probably not.
Really?
Yeah, I don't really care all that much.
Because I'll tell you what, I think the rest of the golf world would.
Maybe.
They'd love to see Dustin Johnson, Brooks Koepka, Bryson DeChambeau take on Rory McIlroy, Scotty Scheffler and whomever.
I would find it very hard to believe that would be part of this. If they're trying to make one league, that they create this kind of thing.
No, I understand. I'm just throwing out there because they offered up team competition.
No, the team competition, when it's us versus the world, and by us I mean the United States. I can get behind all USA, but wow. This is really, really wild. We'll have to see what it means. PGA and Liv have merged. And by the way, the European Tour, that's something we shouldn't forget about. What does that mean? Like the European Tour is involved in this as well. What does that open up?
It opens up those players, the Liv players that are European players, to be able to compete for Ryder Cup spots.
That might be the only thing. You're right. Hey, if you're headed to the pool, get the summer mocktail party started off right with the new strawberry margarita and island punch margarita, or fan favorite, the watermelon mojito smoothie. New now from Tropical Smoothie Cafe. Order online or use the app, which is what I do because A, I get rewards points. Last week I got a free smoothie. And B, you save a bunch of time. Plus you can customize your smoothie on the app, make it just the way you want. I'll get to that in a minute. But the app, once you order on the app, you just roll in, grab your smoothie or wrap or sandwich off the countertop, and bam, you're gone. And it's coming up to lunchtime, so what a great way to get your lunch order in right now. Now, as far as customizing it, whatever your smoothie of choice is, you can get the fresh add-ins like almond, spinach, kale, chia seeds, and ginger, or supplements like protein, fat burner, or Energizer. Again, it's Tropical Smoothie Cafe. To find a location nearest you, go to tropicalsmoothiecafe.com. Tropical Smoothie Cafe, you're on Tropic Time now. All right, Carson Anderson reacting to breaking news. The PGA and Live Golf are merging. And I got to tell you, the more I think about this, the more I bet the PGA guys are hot. And I will tell you this, too, Gator. You asked a question before the break of me, would I watch team format? Because the only thing that we are seeing here that from an official standpoint was the quote that PGA was going to incorporate some aspect of team golf. And I mean, that does nothing for me, but you said, would I want to watch a Ryder Cup format between PGA guys and Live guys? And I said no. And you said, why not? You think people would? I would have, had they not merged. Had they stayed separate, then I would have been fired up. Now that they're merged, I don't care. But had they done that before they merged, because I would have felt like I have a rooting interest here. I couldn't stand Live. So I would be way into it rooting for the PGA guys.
But you still know which guys jump for Live.
Yeah, but Live, depending on what this format looks like, Live is not a threat anymore. Live is, I shouldn't say Live is gone because we just don't know what this means yet.
Not yet.
I hope it just means we get our golf back and we get our golfers back. And then there's a whole part of it, the dirty money part of it, which can't be escaped. Did the PGA just say, screw it, we'll take your money? And the Saudi-backed money and the that has been called into question. 248-539-9797. Tons of feedback coming in and phone calls, ticket texts. So what's the point of all this then? Did the Saudis just get bored with golf and decide to give it up? That's from an unnamed texter. We don't know yet. Matt in Canton says, biggest question off the top of my head with this merger, do any of the Live Tour players have to return a portion of their giant signing bonuses, and do any Live Tour events get folded into the regular PGA Tour schedule? Don't know yet. Robin Redford, it sounds to me like they're just merging their business operations. Golfers will still only be able to play on whatever tour they're a member of. If that's the case, then this is a big nothing burger, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure. There are a lot of questions that are being asked that are all appropriate, and I don't know if we're going to get all the answers to them in the next 20 minutes, but this feels like this is an evolving story, and it's one that has everybody's ears perked up going, oh, what just happened? I'm sorry. This is a major story in golf. I mean, as big as the story was a year and a half ago when it was announced that this was happening with Live, and, you know, was even as recent as a year ago when we were learning of more and more players defecting from PGA Tour.
And every time I was like,
Live.
Damn it.
Yeah, exactly. And now this story breaks. This is bigger than them leaving in the first place.
I don't know what this means quite as much as you might, but Tom in Flat Rock says, can we treat it like a wrestling angle where Live golfers show up unannounced and win PGA tournaments pre-merger? Call it the NGWO, New Golf World Order.
It'll be interesting.
248-539-9797. Let's go to Larry on a cell. You're on 97 on a ticket. Hi, Larry.
How are you?
Okay.
Can you hear me all right?
Yep,
yeah, go
we
ahead,
got you.
I think one of the driving forces in this deal, although, it's hard to tell with as few facts as we have, is the players' lawsuit claiming that the PGA was in violation of the Antitrust Act. I think the PGA had the worst side of the case. They were going to lose. The players were going to get to come back anyway. After all, the PGA is saying to a lot of players who are American citizens, you're qualified to play on the PGA. We know that, like Dustin Johnson, but you can't make a living in the United States, your home country. You chose to sign up with those other guys, so we're throwing you out of the United States for golf. You can't play here anymore. Goodbye. Well, I mean, that just is clearly illegal. And I think the players had a lot to do with driving this, and I think the PGA, they took whatever deal they could get, because if this court decision said they were in violation of the Antitrust Act, they were going to wind up that would break their back. The players would be running the PGA, not the organization.
Well, Larry, what wasn't that they couldn't make money playing golf in the United States? It was they couldn't make money playing golf in PGA Tour events. Some of the live events took place in the United States.
But they said you can come to the big three here, and you can go play in the British Open, as if they had anything to say about that. But they said, no, you can't play on the PGA Tour.
Right.
You're a citizen of the United States, but you can't make a living in your home country.
I don't think the
citizen.
I mean, I haven't read the lawsuit, but I don't think the citizenship had anything to do with it. They just banned them from playing in the PGA Tour.
There were live events in the United States. 248-539-9797. Steve Frazier's next here on 97.1. Hi, Steve.
Hey, boys. How you doing today?
Okay.
Good. Hey, so I think I boil it down to, so Liv, they go ahead and they, get all these like exclusive signings that take all these players away from the PGA, and then they go ahead and they shoot themselves in the foot by signing with CW. CW is going in the tank right now. It's not going to be a network anymore. So therefore, they're going to go ahead and take all the players that they signed over, had all these contracts with, and use them as leverage for the fact that they messed up with the CW and they're not going to get that money. So they were forced to do this. PGA, it has like a legacy. Liv does not. They're a year. So, yeah, they messed up. We took your players. We stole them.
You think this is? Do you think Liv forced had to do this?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we'll find out at some point. To the previous caller, Larry, he might be right about the PGA having the weaker case in the lawsuit. That could be true.
That could be true.
Yeah.
Phil
don't want to
Mickelson
dismiss that.
had a tweet about this 45 minutes ago.
Of course he did.
He reacted on Twitter to CNBC Now's tweet saying, breaking PGA Tour agrees to merge with Saudi-backed rival Liv Golf. I'm assuming this is real Phil, 829,000 followers.
Okay.
The response was, awesome day today, with a smiley emoji.
248-539-9797. Let's go to Steve on a cell. Hi, Steve.
Hey, guys. How are you? Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
It's crazy. The announcement, it's interesting. I wonder why the announcement was made today, because there's so little facts to it. And then I just get your thoughts on this. If I'm a PGA player who's been loyal to the tour and didn't jump ship to Liv Golf, and all of a sudden the Liv golfers get to come back and play in all the PGA events and also walk away with their guaranteed money, that would make me pretty pissed off.
Yep.
And so I'll hang up and just
100%. Steve, I think it's one of the biggest challenges that the PGA Tour has at this point is keeping the members of the tour from being irate. Hey, we turned down like generational wealth guaranteed to make this work together. And you're just going to invite them back?
Well,
that's part of it.
Right.
If it's part of it.
This is why I want to know what happens with the contracts of the Liv golfers. Do the Saudis have to honor those contracts or no?
Don't know.
How much did those guys get paid up front? And, yeah, there's a legitimate beef for the PGA Tour players.
This is filled with complications that
a lot.
The caller saying, why did they announce it today? And they've announced it today with what feels like so little details. Maybe there's going to be a news conference and it'll all get sorted out and all the questions will get answered. Do they even know the answer to these questions?
Is U.S. Open this week or is it next week?
I don't think it's this week.
Or it's a couple weeks from now. I guess it's a couple weeks from now. So they're getting this announcement made ahead of the U.S. Open. This is going to be a lot of PR work being done by the PGA Tour, without a doubt.
248-539-9797. Let's go to Brian on a cell. You're on 97. Want to take it? What's up, Brian?
Hey guys, good morning.
What's up?
My head is just spinning here with this news. I can't believe what I'm hearing here over the waves. But I think the one thing to think about is how this impacts the schedule. The tour, they basically bent over backwards to focus on 13 or 14 what they're calling like designated events where sponsors are bringing $20 million purses to the table.
Yep.
The top guys committed to just playing those. And so when you fold in, new live events, I see it just diluting the talent pool and players having to pick and choose to play more tournaments. And I don't know about you guys, but watching golf every week this year, it's been nice to know that the top guys are going to be competing at a given event, like this past week at Memorial. And then on the off weeks, you get to see some of the up-and-comers come in. So it'll be really interesting to see how the sponsors react to this and what happens to the schedule when, there's all of a sudden 25 events potentially that, these guys with huge purses that they could play. So I'll hang up and listen. But
yeah, I mean, that was the thing. One of the ways the PGA reacted to the Live Golf Tour was that they did increase the purses for a handful of events, increased it dramatically for a handful of those events. They leaned on the better golfers on the tour. Please play in more events. You'll have the opportunity to win more money. We're going to put out bigger money for those events too. So if you're allowing for this merger, I mean, the reality is that not everybody on Live Tour was a great golfer. Right?
No.
They weren't all PGA Tour golfers. In fact, there were maybe 20% of them were. The rest of them were golfers that you've never heard of that were playing in the Asian tours.
That were brought in to fill out the field.
Yeah.
Darren Ravel is a sports business reporter, made a name for himself at ESPN and now is with the Action Network. Tweeted out 1 minute ago, I have no idea how this merger is ever going to work. 248-539-9797. More of your phone calls and feedback. Live and the PGA and the European Tour are merging. 97.1 The Ticket.
Brought to you by Cars for Kids. The golf world turned on its head this morning as an official announcement was made that the PGA Tour, DP World Tour, and LIV Tour will be merging into a single entity, ending the ugly war between the sides. The PGA Tour agreeing to a deal with the Saudi Public Investment Fund to create a new company that is yet to be named. All litigation will end with the deal, and LIV defectors will be given a fair and equal chance to regain their PGA statuses after the 2023 season. Multiple PGA Tour players are telling reporters that they had no heads up prior to the press release. The Lions begin their mandatory minicamp today in Allen Park. The whole team on hand before their summer break. A couple of competitions will be under the microscope. The right tackle job between Graham Glasgow and Vaitai, and the kicking competition with Michael Badgley, Riley Patterson, and Parker Romo, who recently kicked in the XFL. The bullpen day start will go to Tyler Alexander tonight for the Tigers' second game in Philadelphia. It will be his first time pitching earlier than the third inning this season. He has an ERA of over 8 last month of May. Tigers bats will face righty Taijuan Walker for the 6:40 p.m. game. Dan Dickerson will have the call right here on 97.1 The Ticket. And no playoff games tonight in basketball or hockey. Game 3 of the NBA Finals tomorrow night, and the Stanley Cup Finals will resume on Thursday. At the Ticket Update Desk, I'm Chris Villar. For more, go to 97.1 The Ticket and Odyssey.com.
All right, so breaking news at this hour, and Chris Villar, who's a big golf guy in the update desk, and you've been able to follow this off the air.
I'm trying.
Yeah, and it's rapidly developing.
Every second.
No
we
one
don't
has
know
hit.
what we don't know what this means. From the update there, though, I was reading. I heard so LIV players after this season can return to the PGA Tour. Is
They
that
said they were going to be given a fair chance to regain their cards.
So that's kind of fair chance. What's a fair chance?
I don't know. They're gonna. I guess if you technically would still keep it, well, you can't because they wouldn't have played for 2 years, so they wouldn't be in the top.
But they compete in the majors.
160. They compete in the majors. I don't know how much that goes into the PGA standings because they don't show the LIV golfers in the PGA standings anymore. I don't know how soon or eligible they would be to qualify or come into events. People are talking about the Rocket Mortgage Classic over there on the other side, who are still announcing their players right now. The whole thing is just insane. Of all the things that could have come to a head with the PGA Tour and the LIV, this was the last thing on June 6th that I would see happening.
All right, I want to keep you around here for a second.
Yeah.
I apologize if you have responsibilities.
They're clamoring for me over there,
at other stations, but tell them to get bent. So I'm reading in this story put out, and this is on the PGAtour.com.
Yeah.
And this is maybe insightful. It says PIF, which is the basically LIV.
The Saudis, basically.
PIF will initially be the exclusive investor in the new entity. And then it says alongside the PGA Tour, LIV Golf, and the DP World Tour.
Mm-hmm.
Going forward, PIF, LIV, will have the exclusive rights to further invest in the new entity, including a right of first refusal on any capital that may be invested in the new entity, including into the PGA, LIV, and DP World Tour. So that sounds like LIV is funding all of it.
It kind of sounds like they own it.
Yeah. But then later in the story, it says separately, the PGA Tour Inc. will remain in place as a 501c6 tax-exempt organization and retains administrative oversight of events for those assets contributed by the PGA Tour, including the sanctioning of events, the administration of the competition and rules, as well as all other inside-the-rope responsibilities. With Jay Monahan as the commissioner.
Yeah, they call him the CEO in the release as well.
So PGA is running PGA Tour events. LIV players will be allowed to get their cards back, but it also sounds like if you need money, LIV is the investor.
It sounds like LIV owns it. You guys run it.
It's what it. I mean, it's probably an oversimplification.
I'm not a business guy, but that if you're gonna kind of think about it like that, that's kind of what it sounds like.
I think that's my takeaway as well.
Here's an interesting tweet that Darren Ravel retweeted from July 19th of last year. All those golfers that remained loyal to the very disloyal PGA will pay a big price when the inevitable merger with LIV comes, and you'll get nothing but a big thank you from PGA officials.
I'd be livid.
You know who said? You know who said that? Donald Trump.
Well.
And then Golden Tate.
Well, how many Live Tour events are
players have to be livid?
How many Live Tour events are on Trump courses? What, 4?
Yeah, well, yeah. I was going to say there's several.
So I mean, everyone's trying to figure out the logistics of this. Like, do they continue playing live events? Do they continue just playing the PGA Tour events? Do they become a brand new company? Obviously, they said they're going to. They're going to be called something new, whether it's PGA Live or PGA Live DP or whatever they're going to be.
What the hell is open wheel racing called now? What do we just have?
The NTT IndyCar.
Right.
Right.
It was kart. It was Champ Car. It was
right.
Things can change. Like whatever it's called doesn't matter.
I guess it'll just be an umbrella.
What, the logo?
No, the literally it'll be an umbrella company, and the PGA Tour and Live Tour and DP Tour will continue to operate as they are. I don't know how that's going to work if the players can play wherever they want to.
Well, and I mean, if you're now Rory, you say, hell, I'll take your $100 million and go play in a few of your events.
Rory's got enough money.
I know, but they all have enough money.
I know. John Rahm turned it down and he said, "Oh, what's $400 million going to change my life?" Like, oh, okay.
No.
All right, buddy.
All right, thanks, Chris. Appreciate it. Wild story emerging in the world of sports this morning. PGA and Live in this merger.
And Chris made a point during before the update to us. Rory had to know. He had to be consulted about this because in the last couple of weeks he's been very. I don't want to say he hasn't been complimentary, but he has backed off his harsh anti-Live stance significantly over the last couple of weeks. So perhaps it gives you a view that he knew something was coming down the pipe.
248-539-9797. Let's go to Bob. You're next. What's up, Bob?
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Doing good.
One thing I haven't heard, guys, I know I'm an older guy, and sometimes I don't remember things right. But in my mind, I thought that Liv's suit against the DP World Tour was basically thrown out. And that happened about a month to 6 weeks ago. So maybe this is Liv seeing that they're not going to win in court. So let's work together. Plus, I know the suit that was filed in the U.S. federal courts, a lot of guys attached their names to that. And in my mind, I think pretty much all of them took their names off the suit. I think Bryson was one of the last ones to remove his name from that suit. So I don't know if they recognize possibly that.
Bob, it may have happened on both sides. I think both sides recognize that litigation is just going to cost each other a huge chunk of money, and let's do away with that. If we're going to find a way to merge, then drop the lawsuit on both sides. We can stop spending all this money on the lawyers.
Yeah, again, we're just getting caught up because this is a breaking story. But from what I read, it sounds like Liv's case was getting actually weaker, and I think you're more right than wrong.
Yeah, I think that there were a couple guys, I think, up until about maybe 3 weeks ago that still had their names attached, and I know one was DeChambeau, and that they're recognizing that because I think the suit, I think Liv is based out of England, and that they went into those courts and that thing didn't. I don't think it was in the courts for very long before it was thrown out. So
yeah, I mean, that very well could be what helped expedite this merger.
World of Isaac tweeted out, they should live stream Jay Monahan's meeting with PGA players. It would do more viewership than any Live event. I agree with that.
You know what name I haven't seen anywhere? Greg Norman.
No. He took all the fire for this. And he had been trying for years and years and years to come up with an alternative to the PGA Tour. Finally got it with Liv, taking all the arrows, and now there's a merger.
And his name hasn't been in any of these press releases, any role, even though he was at the forefront of the Liv movement.
Right.
248-539-9797. Matt in Royal Oak, you're next. What's up, Matt?
Hey, guys, you just mentioned Norman. So the biggest thing that drove this was the update to the litigation yesterday, where an appeal basically happened, and everybody's read on it was like, oh, this is going to drag on for 3 or 4 years. So it doesn't matter how weak Liv's case was. This was going to continue to be an issue for a while. And the fact that Monahan and the head of the PIF were just on CNBC about 10 minutes after it happened meant that this was all a coordinated move. Remarkably, they kept this under secret from a lot of people. I think that's the biggest shock of this whole thing was the secrecy. But the second that it got announced, they were on TV before Monahan even talked to the players. There is now a player's letter that you can read online. The key thing that it breaks down is just that it's what they said on CNBC. There's a for-profit slush fund in the middle that's going to have the rights to all 3 tours for probably broadcast, merchandise, all that. But the tours themselves are going to continue to operate the way that they have been. So that means the PGA Tour is still going to be a 501c tax exempt. Big, quick question there. Like, if they want to continue to bring money to the different communities and do all that, who's going to continue to donate to a tour that they know is now backed by all this Saudi money? That's kind of crazy. And the other part that's there is that just the equity stake, right? What's that investment going to look like? I mean, there's a 4 o'clock meeting today. I think you might have already mentioned. Monahan ends his letter to the players saying, I'll be there at 4 o'clock today for a meeting to answer questions. But, yeah, if you didn't take the money, if you're Rory, if you're Tiger, the money that Tiger was offered just to be a part of it, like, how do you resolve all that? But for the tour itself, if it's going to continue to be, let's bring money and let's bring internet access to Detroit with the Rocket Mortgage Classic, all these corporate sponsors, are they going to look at this any differently now?
I got to tell you, they might, Matt. They might. Now, the appearance on CNBC with Monahan, we are efforting sound from that so we can play for you what he said.
You know, the timing is also interesting of this. Here we are on Tuesday. It's 2 days after the finish of Jack Nicklaus's tournament over the weekend.
Yep.
Jack Nicklaus was also offered a monster sum of money to head up the Live Golf thing, and he flat out turned him down because he created the PGA Tour, basically. One of those founding fathers. Interesting that they wait till after that event to get this word out.
It's Carson Anderson, 97.1 The Ticket.
Combining over 75 years of local business with the resources of 560 stores across the United States, Builder's First Source is the expert in window and door installation. Add value and beauty to your home with trusted brands like Anderson, Pella, Therma-Tru, and more. Then have your new windows and doors installed properly the first time with their expert installation team. Find their 2 Metro Detroit locations in Clinton and Shelby Townships at buildersfirstsource.com.
That was funny, Evan. Evan just burst into the studio and said, did you hear the news?
Breaking news.
Michigan and Ohio State have combined football programs.
To finally compete with the SEC.
So look, this is weird, and I'm not. There's two things about it. One, Gator, is I feel like we still await details, but the details that are out there, I'm not sure I even understand.
I know.
I
need a tutorial.
Here's a letter from Jay Monahan to PGA Tour players that has now been posted online. And basically tries to get to the crux of the issue of what it means with some bullet points near the end. He says there are many details to work through as we develop a definitive agreement, which will ultimately require PGA Tour Policy Board approval. And I know you have many questions. Some additional items to note in the meantime. Bullet point 1. Notably, today's announcement brings an end to all pending litigation between PGA and LIV. Bullet point 2, we will conduct a comprehensive evaluation of LIV Golf and determine how best to integrate team golf into the professional game. The 2023 LIV Golf schedule will continue as planned. So they're going to finish this season.
And they're just going to look at what their team concept is, and is there any way to incorporate that into the PGA Tour. It doesn't mean anything's going to happen with it, but they're going to explore it. Do the players have any interest? I think is what you have to ask yourself.
So the team concept moves the needle 0 for me, but that doesn't mean that there's other things involved here. Like the teams have sponsorship deals where the players on the teams get sponsored or, get money out of it. There could be other parts of this where even if the people don't care about the teams, corporate sponsors can be labeled, given to team names, things of that nature that could benefit the players. 3, we will work cooperatively to establish a fair and objective process for any players who desire to reapply for membership with the PGA Tour or the DP World Tour following the completion of the 2023 season, consistent with each tour's policies. This is a complicated endeavor and one that will be guided by established PGA Tour rules and regulations. So LIV guys can get back on the PGA Tour and play in their events if they want. Bullet point 4, and this has sub-bullet points, Gator. In addition to financial investment, the new entity for equity stake, PIF will make a financial investment to become a premier corporate sponsor of the PGA Tour. That's the part people aren't going to like. That's basically LIV, the people that own LIV.
Yeah.
Will be the premier corporate sponsor of the PGA Tour. That part's not going to sit well with a lot of people that did take the moral stance. PIF will make an additional investment. PIF is essentially the ownership group of LIV. PIF will make an additional investment in the new entity that will allow us to build an even stronger, more robust commercial business together, whatever the F that means. PIF is committed to significant financial support towards causes that positively impact the game on a global basis. I mean, this is really confusing. I'm not sure that Kang's first instinct on this one isn't correct, that LIV just bought the PGA. I'm not sure it's wrong. I'm not sure it's right or it's wrong. I think it's possible.
I hope I'm wrong, but it just feels to me the more and more this comes out, and it just came out, that LIV has basically bought the PGA. And my bigger issue as a whole now is if you see the Saudis are basically like trying to buy soccer and they've moved on to golf, I don't want them touching the 4 major sports here in America. And they have so much money that they don't care. If you think they're losing money, they don't care. Right. Because they have that much money to lose. All right. So it doesn't matter. And if they were losing money, if LIV was losing that much money, if you're the PGA, wouldn't you just let them die off on their own? But I don't think that was the case.
Then,
I don't see the NFL trying to buy the USFL right now.
No, it's a total lost cause, and there's no money in the USFL. But if, from the moral standpoint, right, with people that don't like the LIV Tour because of the Saudi-backed money, the Saudi money that comes into this, does it make you feel better if the money is generated for even more charities? And the reason the PGA Tour is one of these, tax-exempt organizations is because of all the charity money that is generated. Does that change anybody's mind? Like, can you forgive where the money comes from? I mean, nobody wants to acknowledge China's involvement with the NBA.
It's not even about that for
but,
me.
But
It's about.
But this is
like,
what I'm saying. If this is like too good of a deal for the PGA to turn down, just throwing out a number. Let's say the PGA generates $50 million a year for charity. I have no idea. But Liv comes in and says, we're going to triple it. We're going to triple the number for the charities that we generate. And, I mentioned today, because of the Rocket Mortgage Classic yesterday with the press conference, that now they've increased from 40% to 70% in just 3 years, the number of homes in Detroit that have accessibility to the internet. If Liv comes in and throws their money around, and now that number changes to 100%, is it worth it? I would argue. I mean, you could definitely argue that it is worth it.
My issue is not even that. My issue is, what can't the Saudis buy then? Enough. Sometimes you have to stop at some point.
Right.
You know,
Sure.
like soccer, golf, the NBA, the NFL. At what point? What if Goodell goes to the owners and goes, dude, I got some guys in the desert. They're gonna pay so much money, but we just gotta merge with them. We got to let them be the primary investor in the NFL. You know what I mean? Like, at what point do you just say, hey, that's it? We're taking a stance.
But isn't that
you can't buy us?
But isn't that just business?
Oh, it's always business.
Yeah, but I mean,
you don't have to do business.
No, of course you don't. But that's kind of any business. If somebody comes over and wants a corporate takeover, they want to buy you out. I mean, you got to make it worth my while.
My point is, like, for example, the NFL, because they make so much money, right? We're good. We make a ton of money. We're good.
We offer twice
we
as
don't
much.
That's what the $1 million man, right? Everyone has their price. Not everyone has to have a price.
But why don't they have to have their price? I mean,
because they have standards.
Well, that's the thing. Is that everybody's going to go to the moral high ground, right, on this thing, and that's why I say careful where you point. I mean, imagine if you were to look at some of the NFL backers right now.
Yeah, not everyone's 100% clean. I get that.
Yeah,
But
so I mean,
that doesn't mean you just say screw it.
No, but it also doesn't mean that you have the authority or the ability to take the moral high ground because it's Liv or because it's the PIF or whatever.
I'm going more and more uncomfortable with this.
Yeah, I'm very uncomfortable with this whole thing.
As we're talking this out, I'm not sure this is not awful for the PGA Tour. Like, A, if they've been bought.
Well,
I don't like that. But B, I'm not sure how the local communities are going to react to this.
Yeah.
That put on these tour events.
When you mentioned that that the PIF or whatever ends up being the number one corporate sponsor, that's where you're like, okay, all right, we can mask it with a lot of other stuff there, but this is upfront and in your face. Now this puts, the other thing was when Liv started, the players were not allowed to talk about it, right? Remember the press conference?
Players?
Yeah, the Liv players were not allowed to talk about the financing or anything like that. They were instructed to not address anything, to deflect, and does the same thing go on now? You can't deflect at this point. You just merged with them.
Yep.
So how do you answer that? I can't wait to hear Monahan and the head of Liv or the head of PIF or whatever, when these people get together in front of cameras and microphones, how do they handle the barrage of questions that are inevitable?
All right, here's some feedback coming in on Twitch. You can watch the show, twitch.tv, and see us. Also participating in the streaming chat, which we're doing. We're reading this from Ken. Oh, this is definitely not good for golf, dog. Next one from Don. Jay Monahan is such a scumbag, preaches on a moral high ground about how bad Liv is, hides in his office for 2 years, lets the players defend the PGA, and then comes out with this like a hypocrite and doesn't even let the players know. Yeah. 248-539-9797. It's Carson Anderson, PGA and Liv merging, as well as the European Tour. 97.1, the ticket. All right, so look, this is going to be interesting as the details come out, and I don't want to jump to conclusions. Some of this stuff, it's hard not to read that Liv didn't just simply buy the PGA Tour. It's being called a merger.
More and more comes out. It kind of feels that way.
Yep.
It's leaning towards that. Initially, it didn't feel that way. Now it's starting to feel that way.
Yep. And the PGA is still going to operate their tour, but I'm going to wait for more because when it comes, these are complicated issues, but it sure does look like Liv bought the PGA Tour.
Well, I want to laugh. So here's something funny that was posted by Faux Pellini, and we love the Twitter account of Faux Pellini. In response to Phil Mickelson's tweet that said, "Awesome day today," with a smiling face emoji, Faux Pellini replied with, "This is weird, but it seems accepting hundreds of millions of dollars was a good decision." If you're Phil Mickelson.
Right. Here's we just got some feedback here. Things I'll never understand. I just don't understand the business model of Liv. I don't either. Like, how sustainable? People say, oh, they have more money. They just have money to burn. Not for an eternity.
No, but if it was the necessary step to take so that you get to this step,
yeah,
then that's what you do, right?
Create
a storm of controversy.
Okay, but what is golf? Is golf the golfers or is golf the events? What is it more to you? Because to me, it's more the events. Because the golfers change. The golfers from 30 years ago, when I was watching Jim
Furyk. Is the NFL
Furyk,
about the Super Bowl or is the NFL about the players?
That's a little bit different. To me, it's about the teams. Because the players... Well, the players change. The players rotate. In golf, the players change. The players cycle through. And I still will watch the Masters.
I think it's the players. I think it's the tour pros that it's more about than it is the events. And because I think the NFL is more about the players. You might be right with teams, but you could argue, you could split the hairs there and look at, you think about players fondly.
To support your argument, I stopped watching the Indy 500 when Tony George put it in his IRL and I didn't know 90% of the drivers. There were a couple of drivers that initially jumped to IRL they were more household names, but it seemed like the bulk of the Indy 500 field was a bunch of guys you'd never heard of.
Well, this is different because you heard of the golfers that left for Liv.
Yes. Yeah. 248-539-9797, reacting to the news that that Liv and the PGA are merging. It sounds like Liv has a massive financial investment now in the PGA Tour, but the PGA is committed to continuing to run things their way. Matt McComb says, I feel bad for golfers who stood by the PGA. It'll be interesting to see if they get anything out of this.
Yeah, that's what I wonder. I mean, I think I said this off the air, but is this something where, because now they've got the backing of this PIF fund or the what is it? What's it called?
Public Investment Fund.
Public Investment Fund, that's the Saudi money. As part of this deal, reward the better golfers on the PGA Tour that decided not to go, that they were only the ones that were courted to go to Liv. Did they get a check? Like there's someone cutting a check to Rory McIlroy for $50 million for not leaving the tour.
Greg and Novi says, as a golfer and a golf watcher for many years, it's really about the majors. I feel Liv is no different than NIL, transfer portal, free agency, ridiculous contracts for pro athletes, etc. It's basically ruining sports for me. Next text. Well, that has absolutely ruined my day. What about the players that stayed loyal to the PGA? Sounds to me like the Saudis bought out the PGA. This is an absolute joke. Jerry O. in Dearborn writes in, 99% of the time, what they call a, quote, merger is actually a takeover. I bet we're going to find out, though one of them is taking over the other.
Well, someone's got to retain over 50%.
And it's not actually a merger. That's what Jerry wrote.
it was Chris Fillard that said at the top of the hour. It feels like Liv just bought it, but the PGA is going to run it. You know, which is something else that happens in mergers. Somebody owns it, but they let the other entity run it.
PGA Tour scorned the Live Tour players for taking the money last year. Now they take the money. That's from Cam. Chad on Losser says, to me, it feels like Liv isn't making enough money to justify the big contract. So they merged with the PGA to get on the good side of golf fans and start recouping money. 248-539-9797. I'm going more and more uncomfortable with this, and I'm not sure I like it. But it is huge news in the world of sports. And it doesn't feel like we have a comp. You know, a appropriate comparison. But can it make some golf better to watch? I mean, it could. It could. But as typically,
Doesn't it feel like one side won? Just instant reaction right now because of the reactions from the players? The Live guys and the PGA Tour guys.
The Live guys are celebrating this, and the PGA Tour guys are bitching.
Absolutely, the Live guys are like doing, running circles, going, hey, and then
we
the
got
PGA,
our money.
and the PGA guys are like, dude, how about letting us know next time first?
But I can understand the Live players feeling that way from a standpoint where they were just destroyed in the media over the last year. So now it's almost like, okay, it was worth it to be away for a year. Obviously, it's worth it monetarily, but now feel like now we get our reputations back because we can compete back on the tour, which everybody wants us to anyway.
Let's get back to your open line calls. We go to Brian in Detroit. You're on 97.1. Hi, Brian.
Hey, fellas. Where's that hate at that was shown to those golfers that went to Live? They were treated like traitors. They're treated like they were just scum of the earth. And now the PGA is joining Live. I don't see that hate now towards the PGA. Where is it at now?
Oh, it's starting to come up. I think we're starting to feel. Look, this story broke an hour ago, and I absolutely think we're starting to get some of that. I think what we want to hear, Brian, I want to hear from the PGA when the actual tough questions are posed to them about this. What's the response? Rather than just a statement letter, they got to answer the harsh questions.
Yeah, Gabe, you are absolutely right. Because I remember, reporters hounding those guys, players showing disrespect to those guys as if they were scum of the earth for taking that money. And now the same guys taking the money. I always say, listen, if somebody will pay you, take it. But don't holler and scream that they the enemy and now you join in with them, now that the money's been offered to you. That's just amazing to me. And you're right, Gabe, I want to see those tough. This the only time I want to see a press conference about golf. I want to see the hard questions asked about those guys that were hollering and screaming, calling those other guys the enemy. I love your show, fellas.
Hey, thanks, Brian.
I've heard from Brian a long time. He didn't rip on you.
Not once. Noted. Let's go to Doug in Livonia. Hi, Doug.
Yeah, hi, Doug. How are you?
Okay.
Good. My take on this: I've golfed my whole life, and I'm a big PGA fan. And my take on this is siding with Gator on this. I think that I don't care how much money you have. You don't like losing money. I don't care. I don't agree with some of your callers on that. I don't think anybody likes to lose money. And so I think Liv is reaching out to PGA and maybe come up with something that they can work together on. That's what it looks like to me. And so I'm siding with Gator on this. I don't, that's the way it looks to me,
Well, I mean, the cliche regarding Liv is they got more money than anyone. They don't care if they're losing money. Maybe they did, because it doesn't seem like it was a sustainable business model. I mean, every time I saw a Liv event or pictures from a Liv event, because I literally tuned into YouTube the first day and had it on at my cubicle on that Thursday, the first day that they played, or Friday, or whatever it was. And since then, I haven't seen any Live golf, but I've seen pictures, sparsely populated. The galleries were not big. The network that I mean, I can't imagine it was a huge TV deal, but the salaries being paid to the golfers were massive, massive amounts. So Was that a sustainable business model? It is only year 2 of Live. So it doesn't feel like they'd be running out of money already.
But their business model was weird. One of the reasons that they were able to pay more money for the tournaments to the winner is because they had fewer people participating. They only had 48 golfers that are playing in Live. So you've got that field narrowed down. You don't have to worry about making the cut. You're there, and it's the top 48 golfers, and boom. But they weren't playing every week like on the PGA. There had to be a point of diminishing returns. We're like, okay, we can light this money on fire to a point.
Yep.
But that's why I go back to thinking that this was necessary for them to shake up the golf world if their ultimate goal was to take over.
Well, that's the thing I was going to bring up, Gator. There's 2 things to this business model, right? One was maybe this was the business model the entire time. Eventually, we're going to come back in and we're going to force the PGA to let us in, if not take over completely, right? And number 2 is they have so much money. Like, it's unthinkable. We can't even compare to, like, anybody or anything like that, where they have so much money where if you have a child, let's say he has a passion project, he wants to open up a froyo stand, and this froyo stand loses money every year. But you know what? It makes him happy, and I don't care if I'm losing $50,000 a year because I'm so freaking rich from my other investments that I'm on top every year. It doesn't matter. That's a profit loss thing, and it's a small loss.
It's a tax write-off.
Exactly, right? So I think that's where the Saudis were at. I mean, either they didn't care if they were losing money or not, or secondly, this was the plan the entire time.
248-539-9797, PGA and the Live Golf Tour merging. 97.1 the ticket. So this is interesting from For the Win. And again, we're reacting to breaking news at this hour that the PGA Tour and Live Golf are merging. And we're trying to figure out actually what it means because it's pretty vague and it sounds like they don't even really know yet. But this is 6 pressing questions we have about the PGA Tour Live Golf merger put together by For the Win. Question 1, why is this happening in the first place? The short answer, money, and also the future of the PGA Tour. The longer answer, the merger creates a giant for-profit behemoth that gets rid of the upstart Live Golf League and instead proves that it was all the talk of Saudi sports washing that the PGA Tour and the golfers called out was for naught. But it was becoming clear that the Live Golf route was a huge problem for the PGA Tour. Even with the moral issues of joining Live, the PGA Tour had to contend, I think, with Live golfers getting guaranteed money for less work instead of grinding it out on tour without the cushion of a good payday. All of this takes care of that issue. This implies that Live Golf is going away. I mean, it says gets rid of the upstart Live Golf Tour, which, I mean, oh no. The other stuff is a lot of cutting and